thing to see, and not the least of which would be the family members of the woman who ended up dying.
Police say the driver remained on the scene and speed was not a factor. The county sheriff's office is investigating because the driver is a crossing guard for the city. The Highway Patrol has now identified the woman killed after crashing a minivan in a high-speed chase that ended in Davis County. 25-year-old Emma Gord Hammer was driving over 100 miles an hour on I-15 in Layton when investigators say she lost control. She died in the crash, and her 3-year-old son was taken to Primary Children's Hospital in critical condition. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, tens of thousands of dock workers on the East Coast and Gulf Coast are walking the picket line today.
Members of the International Longshoremen's Association fear job losses as machines are brought in to do what people used to. They also say pay increases haven't kept pace with inflation.
I need this for the future, not only for myself, but for my son, for my family. That's all I have.
The U.S. Maritime Alliance, which represents the ports, says the ILA isn't bargaining in good faith. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, markets down quite a bit with that strike and also with what's happening in the Middle East this morning. The Dow is off 240 points. The S&P is down 63. That's more than a full percent. And the NASDAQ down 1.8% now with a loss of 328. Coming up, what you see is what you get for the rest of the 7 days. We'll take a closer look at that forecast. It really is nice. KSL News Time, 9:02.
We hope you have the right app on your phone for news. You probably have dozens.
But the KSL News Radio app, well, it makes our live stream super easy.
Plus, our talk shows are right there as podcast for your workday.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Hey, this is Dan, the laptop man from PC Laptops. Imagine struggling with a slow, outdated computer that takes forever to load anything, that randomly freezes up and is filled with viruses and malware.
Now picture yourself with a powerful desktop or laptop that runs smoothly and efficiently, making your work and entertainment seamless. Take one home today. The new 2025 S1 desktop or SM3 laptop for only $999. You heard that right, $999. You get a blazing fast processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over a terabyte of blazing storage for $999. What else do you get? Lifetime service warranty, and we have 12 months special financing on approved credit. Hurry in right now because supplies are limited, because at PC Laptops, we love you. Just check us out at PCLaptops.com. $999, PCLaptops.com.
I am Rochelle Morris, and I'm running for Salt Lake County Council at large. As I've spent time getting to know you, from Magna to Mill Creek and from Salt Lake City to Sandy, I've become even more convinced that there is so much that you and I have in common. In Salt Lake County, we want accountability for our tax dollars. We want collaborative problem solving to tackle housing affordability, homelessness, and transportation needs. We want safe parks and neighborhoods for our kids and our families. When you elect me in November, I will work earnestly to best serve and represent you. I'll deliver real results on the issues that matter most. Whether you live in the north end or the south end of the county, the east side or the west side, I will be your advocate. I love our county, and I'll get right to work making Salt Lake County work better for all of us. I'm Rochelle Morris, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Rochelle Morris for Salt Lake County Council.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents a gallon. Heather's back in the traffic center.
We still have delays northbound I-15 coming out of Utah County over the point of the mountain up to about 106 South in Sandy. Had a few crashes in that area, and even a little past 106 South up toward 90th, you'll really hit the brakes. Slowing down occasionally southbound 15 in North Salt Lake approaching downtown, but where we have some really big backups is out in South Jordan. 114th South heading westbound between 13th West and Redwood Road. You're at a crawl because we've got construction. The right lane is gone, plus there may be a crash in that area. Celebrate Taco Tuesday the tasty way at Cafe Rio. Handmade tortillas bring the vibes, slow braised meats bring the punch, and 12 tasty toppings bring the party. Starting at just $2.49. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Sunny today. Highs are going to be 81 degrees. Tomorrow just a little bit warmer. But cold in the morning. Matter of fact, you can lock these temperatures in. 80s during the day and 50s during the night for as far as the eye can see. No chance of precipitation. 55 degrees in Salt Lake City from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. I'm Tim Hughes. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
So I step away from the microphone for one day. I come back to work, and Dave's all excited about $3 nachos at the Delta Center, $2 waters. And I am such a Debbie Downer because I'm thinking, yeah, but that's in exchange for $1 to $3 ticket surcharges, Dave. Are you not reading the fine print?
I will take that all day as long as I don't have to pay $6 for a hot dog that is moderately warm, like in the realm of warm. So if I'm only $3 for a hot dog now, I am all in. I love it. Go ahead, charge me an extra $3 for a ticket. I got it from my brother anyway. It's 9:07. It's time for the launch.
Sequence engaged.
And here are 3 things that Debbie wants you to know.
Countdown. 3.
Well, it's the final debate of the presidential campaign season, at least from what we know so far. Walz, Vance face off tonight. You can hear it here live starting at 7 o'clock. Of course, that's on the heels of the AG debate here in the state of Utah, which starts at 6. We'll broadcast that live, too. For a long time, we have talked about on this show that VPs, do they really matter? Are they a difference maker? Well, maybe they matter now, Dave.
Yeah, Kamala Harris has proven that VPs do matter. She was one of the most unpopular, had some of the lowest ratings and favorability ratings in vice president history. And then, when she was elevated to candidate Kamala Harris, now everybody loves her. So, yeah, VPs can make a resurgence. Maybe they can matter.
Countdown. 2.
Look, it wasn't supposed to turn out like this. Hurricane Helene hit the coast, Florida, about 500 miles and 30 hours from Asheville, North Carolina. Okay? And Asheville's nowhere near the ocean either. But rains started falling in that area and fell for something like 30 hours straight. Rivers couldn't take it anymore. It was unreal what's happened in that area. Entire communities, towns they're wiped off the map. They're gone. Roads destroyed. And now I'm reading that mules are being used to pack in food and supplies because that's how destroyed these communities are. We are going to take you to North Carolina live in about 45 minutes. We have a resident there who is on standby to tell us what he is seeing in the area where he lives.
You've heard us say catastrophic devastation within our county. I would go a little bit further and say we have biblical devastation through the county. We've had biblical flooding.
Biblical. It is incredible. You look at the aerial views of what has happened, and you hit it right on the head, Deb. This is 300 miles in from the East Coast. It's, 500, 600 miles north of South Florida, this is incredible to see this happen. And how could you possibly prepare for this? You'd never think that it would impact you like this.
Launch countdown 1.
So I read the fine print this morning. There's a $1 to $3 ticket surcharge that is on tap at the Delta Center. This all goes back to the big story about the downtown remodel. But Dave is so excited that food prices are getting slashed at jazz and hockey games this year.
Bottled water, ice cream, popcorn, nachos, and hot dogs.
About half price for those 5 items. Dave, come on. You cannot be that excited about a couple bucks on a hot dog in exchange for a $3 ticket surcharge, can you?
The math is mathin', Deb. The math is super mathin'. Because, number one, $3 for a ticket, that's great. Where they get you is at the concessions. My goodness, I have spent a small fortune on concessions over the years. And my biggest complaint has always been there are no options. There's only expensive food. That is why I'm grateful that there is a cheaper option out there, because maybe I got free tickets. Maybe I didn't pay that surcharge. Maybe I'm gravy training off of somebody else, and I can go to the game for $15. I can feed my face, and I walk away happy.
Dave and Dujanovic.
The launch.
Commence.
Water was $5.25, so it will be $2 now. We know how much tickets cost, and we want to provide as many accessible opportunities as possible.
That's the Smith Entertainment Group explaining that some concession prices are going down. Some is going down as much as half price, and that water, a bottle of water, is now going to cost $2 at the games. Can I just say, I just looked up on Smith's website, the grocery store, Smith's. A 32-pack of Dasani water is $8 right now, so it's about a quarter a bottle, 25 cents a bottle. And Dave is celebrating $2 bottles of water that are going to be going on sale at the Delta Center.
First of all, you can't go to any store outside of like Costco and get a quarter for, a bottle of water for a quarter or $2. That's totally normal. You'd get that at Maverick. But the normal markup, the $5.50 you were paying, that was a 2,000% markup. This is just a 700-800% markup.
Why are you celebrating lower concession prices when we're also looking at a ticket surcharge of $1 to $3? And we'll get into more details in just a minute, but what that money, that surcharge is going to go to.
It's really about the experience for me. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a game, a jazz game, and there are no cheap options. So if I take my 5-year-old and 6-year-old, all I can buy is the $18 barbecue sandwich. There are few things in this world that will infuriate a father more than you buying your kid an $18 barbecue sandwich. They take one bite and they think, it's too tangy. And then they throw it away. Like, you just threw away $18. How do I continue to love you? I just need a cheaper option somewhere.
Well, lucky for you, KSL5 Television's Lindsay Aird spoke to Smith Entertainment Group, owner of the Jazz and the Utah Hockey Club, about the thinking behind slashing concession prices for dads like Dave.
That's really the premise behind it, is trying to meet our fans where they're at and deliver a first-class experience for them. We've got some things that we have to do on our end. It's definitely a two-way street. And so, we look forward to leaning into all of those things. The whole idea is having people be able to come here, enjoy a game, get merch, get food, and feel like they've walked out of here with a great experience.
We would routinely pay, if we were to get some food at the game, we'd $60. That we would do that all the time because it's just so expensive. It's movie theater pricing. And the reason they can charge that is because that's what it costs. Everybody charges that in every stadium in the nation. So they didn't have to do this. They just did. You can charge $6 for a hot dog. And they said, you know what? We're going to slash it in half. I'm grateful for the option. I probably will still get the barbecue sandwich because it's a barbecue sandwich. But it's nice to know that I can stuff my kid's face with a cheap hot dog.
Well, Dave celebrates the $2 bottle of water that I'm going to buy at Smith's grocery store for $0.25. I guess I don't know if I could actually bring it into the game or not.
Can't bring it in.
I can't bring it in, no. And the $3 nachos. We're going to get KSL5 Television's Lindsay Aerts on the show straight ahead because she is tracking tonight's vote. Tonight is the night that we expect the Salt Lake City Council to vote on another increase, not just talking about ticket surcharges, which is a Delta Center thing, but the city council is set to vote on this sales tax increase. Does Lindsay anticipate any surprises on how the city council will vote? She'll fill us in next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Here's a trick to podcasting at work and getting all the Utah news you love.
Download the KSL News Radio app.
The podcast for Utah's morning news and Dave and Debbie are right there. Dozens of podcasts a day.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
My body is unique. I'm not okay with using drugs for weight loss.
Dieting really hasn't worked for me.
These fad diets have hurt people that I care about.
I'm Dr. Jack Thomas with Skinny Utah. Since 2016, Skinny Utah has offered effective weight loss without the shots, prepackaged meals, hormones, or shakes. So many of us are troubled by the serious side effects of lose weight fast fads and are looking for answers as to why our bodies hold on to weight where other bodies don't. The answer is actually simple. Each body is different. At Skinny Utah, we use technology to learn why your specific body holds on to weight, which foods your body can use best, and which ones to stay away from so your weight loss can be sustainable. Right now, Skinny Utah is offering $700 off, something we have never done before. Take your health and weight loss journey seriously and safely. Schedule your free weight loss strategy session at skinnyutah.com.
I did it.
Safely. Successfully.
At skinnyutah.com.
With Skinny Utah, you have nothing to lose but the weight.
Today, Tim Walz and J.D. Vance square off in the VP debate.
We need common sense tax and economic policy.
It's not even about policies. It's about sharing our values.
We have special coverage of the vice presidential debate all day today and tomorrow. Your voice, your vote 2024. This week on KSL News Radio.
Remember the good old days of 2008 when getting a mortgage felt like winning the lottery? Well, those days didn't end so well for many. At Box Home Loans, we took a different approach. Instead of lending to anyone with a pulse, we focused on people with great credit. Imagine that, smart lending from the start. Hi, this is Ben Brown with Box Home Loans. For nearly 20 years now, we've made the mortgage process smooth as possible, offering fantastic rates without any junk fees or unnecessary hassle. Just easy, straightforward service. Now it's been a wild market these last 3 years, but the feds just cut rates. Now's the perfect time if you've been waiting to buy or refinance. Save money today with a lower interest rate or lower your monthly payments by paying off higher rate debts. See how much you can save at boxhomeloans.com or call today and talk to an expert about your scenario. Call 855-294-LOAN. That's 855-294-LOAN. Boxhomeloans.com. Your reward for great credit. Equal housing lender, NMLS ID number 1359687.
Life can feel hard or overwhelming sometimes, but you don't have to face things alone. Getting help for yourself or someone you're worried about starts with a call or text to 988, where you always have someone to talk to, someone to help you, and somewhere safe to go. 988 Utah is here for anyone experiencing mental health challenges or emotional distress. 988 Utah can even help you navigate how to support your struggling loved ones. Whether you're struggling with anxiety, depression, or suicidal thoughts, trained professionals are ready to listen and provide free, confidential support 24/7. Utah, don't hesitate to call or text 988 for you or someone you care about. The caring staff at 988 Utah can connect you to the right resources. Learn more at 988.utah.gov.
Save $2,500 on a new furnace and air conditioner from Any Hour Services. For more information, call Any Hour Services or schedule a free estimate online at anyhourservices.com.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only. Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates. This weekend only, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Tim Hughes. First, Draper police are looking for a man accused of assaulting someone last night near 7th East and 121st South. Police say anyone who heard or saw anything around midnight in that area should reach out. Second, evacuation orders in place, and Highway 35 is closed in Wasatch County because of that growing wildfire. It's the Yellow Lake fire that started on Saturday and has since grown to 2,300 acres. And third, you could start hearing more train horns at any hour of the day. UTA is suspending quiet zones from Salt Lake to Provo while they upgrade all of the crossings. We'll shoot for a high today of 81 degrees, and right now in Salt Lake City, sunny and 55. Let's get you back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
So tonight, we expect that the Salt Lake City Council is going to be voting on a sales tax increase to help fund the downtown remodel project from the Delta Center on East. There's something that the city gets in exchange for the extra tax money that is going to go to help offset the cost of this project. We're going to talk about that live in just a moment with KSL5 Television's Lindsay Aerts and ask her, Dave, if she expects any surprises out of tonight's vote.
And I would be very surprised if there's any surprises, because I think this has been hashed out behind the scenes. They're trying to figure out, okay, let's dot some I's, cross some T's, but largely this has moved forward, and it has moved forward with bipartisan support. Republicans love it. Democrats love it. What everyone is excited for and now anxious for is, okay, let's start the renovation now. Let's see what downtown could be.
Lindsay, good morning.
Hi, guys. Good to be with you.
KSL5 Television's Lindsay Aerts tracking this story very carefully over the last several months. Lindsay, let's start with this sales tax increase. Remind our listeners how much it will be. It only affects Salt Lake City, and how you expect tonight's vote to go.
Yeah, it's a 0.5% sales tax increase, and it, like you said, only affects Salt Lake City proper. So if you're buying a burger in Salt Lake City when you go down to a game outside of the arena, it's going to cost you just a little bit more, 0.5% sales tax increase, which y'all can do the math on that.
Yeah.
Yes,
a nickel on a $10 burger.
Thank you
but
for
a lot
journalists who can't do math on the fly.
But a lot more than that if you purchase, for example, a big screen TV in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, but there are some carve-outs, for the big ticket purchases, right, like cars and stuff like that. It doesn't go up on stuff like that. But, yeah, certainly the everyday items that you pay sales tax for will be a 0.5% higher sales tax. And as to your question of whether I expect any surprises, I'm with Dave on this one that no, I don't really. I feel like the conversations have really just been about how do we facilitate the best deal out of this, knowing that it's likely going to happen. And the biggest thing that Salt Lake City is getting out of this is that the Jazz and the hockey team don't leave downtown. In the contract, those two teams have to have the majority of their games at the Delta Center or they're in breach of contract, right? So it guarantees that those two teams are going to stay downtown on top of a slew of other public benefits that the city and SEG has worked out.
So some of these things, and we were just talking about the slashed prices on concessions, your $3 nacho, but Debbie brought up, well, there's a surcharge on ticket sales. And that was something not imposed by the Smith Entertainment Group from the owners. That was a requirement that they negotiated from the city. The city wanted that surcharge to be able to use that money in a very specific way. What is that?
Yeah, so that money goes back into a fund that will be used for affordable housing and other benefits that the city deems necessary. Now, what those other benefits are hasn't quite been hashed out yet. But it was a way for them to, yes, be able to kind of dedicate some of this money for a certain purpose. But I think critics of the plan are coming back to say, okay, well, we're still paying that extra $1 to $3 on our tickets when we go to any event at the Delta Center. So it's not really a kickback, it's just us paying more money, right? So I think that is one of the criticisms of that plan. But nonetheless, in fairness, Smith Entertainment Group is also kicking in about $3 billion of their own money to help revitalize the area. So there are a host of concessions on each side, and the two parties have essentially come together. Now, I do want to point out that there's kind of a third entity that this whole deal hinges on. And tonight's vote really kicks off this new clock, in my mind, of the contract that stipulates that by next July, the SEG and the county, Salt Lake County, have to have their terms figured out in order to redo the blocks that include the Salt Palace and Abravanel Hall and the UMOCA, which is the Utah Museum of Contemporary Art. Those are the culture blocks that we still haven't figured out how those are going to be paid for. And so I think tonight you might see a lot of public comment. Oftentimes at these meetings we see save Abravanel Hall and make sure that that's part of the deal. Well, the Salt Lake City doesn't really have anything to do with what happens with Abravanel Hall other than, stating what they would like to have happen, right? Because this is a county decision. So, again, all of this contract between the county and SEG has to happen by next July. So tonight really kicks off that next time frame to make sure this deal can kind of be finished up in the next year.
So, Lindsay, just going back to this $1 to $3 ticket surcharge that would go toward what's called a city-managed fund for affordable housing and other projects in the city. Have you laid eyes on any plans for how that will be spent or where these affordable housing units will be built, if they'll be built, or that, areas will be acquired for this? Or is this at this point an idea?
Yeah, it kind of sounds like it's more of a savings account and sort of a bank account where some of this money will go. I mean, keep in mind, it takes a minute for these things to be implemented, right? So once we start paying these extra surcharges on the tickets, then they start collecting it into account. And then once there's enough money, then they can start to use it, right? So it'll take a minute for this fund to kind of get up and running. But essentially, it becomes like a savings account that Salt Lake City can use. And I think it was a way for them to guarantee some housing needs that they desperately need in Salt Lake City to help their residents with affordable housing. And you heard housing advocates kind of say, we want more guarantees for affordable housing in any new housing that's going to be built within this zone. That's not something that's sort of like been, dictated or set in stone, but I think there are kind of just high level, like, of course, we see the need for affordable housing type conversations. But this money is really the biggest guarantee Salt Lake City has to be able to kind of address that need with this deal.
Lindsay Ertz, thank you for joining us from KSL 5 Television. And to this point, that $1 to $3 is going to raise millions of dollars. In fact, just the Jazz, they sell out just about every game. You're going to raise several $1 million on that. You're going to raise millions of dollars with the hockey club. Concerts are going to have the same surcharge, and all that will go to some of these initiatives that Salt Lake wants. Coming up next, how do you feel about it? Let's hear from you, because there is a little bit of this give and take, it feels like. You got the ticket surcharge. You've got the increased sales tax. But in exchange for bargain nachos, are you in? I love the bargain nachos. I'm totally fine with it. 801-575-TALK. Give us a call.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Tim Hughes with a look at some of our top stories. Gonzaga University is reportedly set to join the Pac-12 conference for all sports, including men's and women's basketball. ESPN reports the Bulldogs will join the reconstituted conference, which now includes several teams that played in the Mountain West, including Utah State. Gonzaga had played in the West Coast Conference in recent years. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Search teams are still looking for hundreds of people unaccounted for across several states following Hurricane Helene.
The Air National Guard has been working with FEMA. They've brought in more than 100,000 pounds of food and water. They know they need more as quickly as possible. They also plan to open more distribution centers for people who are cut off. In the meantime, President Biden is expected to touch down in North Carolina tomorrow to survey the damage.
ABC's Faith Abube reporting the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is organizing disaster relief command centers after Hurricane Helene. Thousands of volunteers are in Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas, helping clear debris, tarp roofs, and clear out flooded homes. The church is also sending trucks with water, food, and hygiene kits. Your money at this moment, markets, recovering a little bit on the Dow now. It's still down 169 points. That's 0.4%. The S&P down a full percentage point with a loss of 61, and the NASDAQ down almost 1.9% now, in the red by 342 points. Coming up, not much to worry about or talk about for that matter in the forecast. Just beautiful for the next full week. We'll check it. KSL News Time, 9:32.
It's a priority for us at this station to bring you all sides of a story and to talk about the news fairly, completely.
Get all the facts and be really aware. Utah's Morning News with us, Tim and Amanda.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Debbie, as we walked into the studio today, we had to turn up the thermostat just a little bit. Just had to warm things up a little bit. Well, that's happening in your home right now. You went from AC blasting full speed all the time during the summer to, all right, now we're talking about a little bit of warmth. That is where Mountain Home Services comes in, because they're offering some incredible new fireplaces.
That's right. We're so excited that Master Electrical Service has joined forces with Mountain Home Services, and there's a variety of different things that they can do for your home. All your electrical needs can be met with their help. Those EV charges, the generators that you've been talking about. What about the recessed lighting that you need in your home? And now, as Dave said, fireplaces.
It's because Mountain Home Services does heating and air and has for a very long time. They do plumbing as well. But when you have that expertise in heating, then it makes complete and total sense why you'd get into the fireplace business. So find the perfect fireplace, the most beautiful, whether you want to prioritize ambiance or if you want to prioritize heating up the entire house. Make sure you check out Mountain Home Services.
It comes with that upfront pricing guarantee, which means there's no hidden fees. It's super easy to get a hold of them.
Yeah, just go to mountainhomeutah.com. That's mountainhomeutah.com.
Or you can call them, 801-543-2222. Again, 801-543-2222.
It's complicated. These days, that's how people even describe their relationship status. When it comes to the latest complexities in your car, it's gotten really complicated. The experts at AMCO undergo the most rigorous training to stay on top of the latest car technologies, so there's nothing we can't fix. Well, except for that complicated relationship. When it comes to that, you're on your own. AA, MCO. Check engine light on? We'll check it for free.
I'm author Richard Paul Evans. There's a new book out that I couldn't put down. It's called Alan Osmond, One-Way Ticket. Millions of people think they know the Osmonds, but few know their real story. From humble farm to global mania. And through it all, they kept their faith and family intact. This book will inspire you and strengthen your faith. You'll love this book with hundreds of never-before-published photos and free music downloads. Alan Osmond, One-Way Ticket, available online and where better books are sold.
For over 133 years, Central Bank has been a cornerstone of Utah County, providing generations of families and businesses with trusted community banking services. and are more than just a bank. Central Bank is part of Utah's legacy. With 12 convenient locations across Utah County, Central Bank combines the strength of traditional customer service with the convenience of modern technology. Customized one-to-one service means you're never just another account number, and your phone call actually rings to a real person.
Hi there, thanks for calling Central Bank.
Voted best bank and best mortgage in Utah Valley, Central Bank is here to help you with all your financial needs. From top SBA lending services for small businesses and quick turnaround times on construction loans. They're dedicated to helping you build your future. Whether you're cheering for the Cougars or building your dream home, trust the bank that's been here since the beginning. Central Bank, strong, local, secure since 1891. Online at cbutah.com or any of 12 Utah County locations. Central Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Let's get that look at traffic and weather together here. Brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents a gallon. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, it's still a struggle, Tim, if you're northbound I-15 coming out of Utah County over the point of the mountain, all the way up into the Murray area. There's no crashes. It's just people just are struggling to get back up to normal freeway speeds. And then we also have delays on 114 South in South Jordan. This is westbound between 1300 West and Redwood Road. It's due to road construction. Only 2 left lanes are available. You also have a lot of barrels out on Legacy Parkway, both directions between Centerville and Farmington. Boo Lights returns to Utah's Hogle Zoo. Step into a bewitching world of pumpkins and glowing displays at Boo Lights, Hogle Zoo's signature fall event. Starts September 2nd. For tickets, visit hoglezoo.org. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Sunny today, 81 degrees. Tomorrow, just a little bit warmer in the forecast. And by Friday, we actually sneak up to 88. But for the most part, we're going to be in the lower to mid 80s for highs. And looks like the mid to upper 50s for lows, and dry throughout the next 7-day period. Right now, 55 degrees downtown. From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, I'm Tim Hughes. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories. On KSL News Radio, Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
Well, the Delta Center is going to start serving up $3 nachos, $3 popcorn, $3 hot dogs. But on the flip side of this, you're going to pay a $1 to $3 ticket surcharge. And this is going to be a surcharge that the city of Salt Lake will collect as part of a fund to create more affordable housing and use for other projects. Now, this is all part of this downtown redo. So how do you feel about this? Cheaper nachos, but slightly higher ticket prices. 801-575-TALK. Lots of you are sounding off on our text line about the price of a hot dog at 57500, but we'd love to have you debate Dave on this.
I think you come out way ahead. Of course, you come out way ahead. If you ever buy concessions, you come out way ahead on this because, yeah, it might be $3 for a ticket, $6 total. Well, that's typically the cost of one hot dog or one water. They've taken the basics, the staples of the concessions, and slashed them in half. So now I can take my kid, if it's just the two of us, instead of spending probably close to $70 on some hot dog, nachos, popcorn, drink.
What are you eating?
If you get hot dogs, nachos, popcorn, drink, and an ice cream, that's a chunk. I get it. But that costs you $32 normally.
So it's the buffet. You're going for the buffet of all of the items.
You're there for 3 hours.
So these are going to be slashed significantly, right? I mean, even a bottle of water is going to go from $5 or so,
$5.50
to $2. Now that's still look. I don't know what the Delta Center pays for shipments of bottle of water. I have no idea, but I'm just looking at what I pay at Smith's grocery store. It's a 32-pack of Dasani right now on sale for $7.99. So it works out to be about 25 cents. Look, I feed my kids at home. I avoid concession stands at all costs. I am that mom. Even when we go to the restaurant for breakfast, the rule was no OJ. No one at this table is ordering OJ because we can walk across the street to the grocery store and buy a gallon of this stuff that we can drink for 3 days for about $3. So no one's getting a $3 little tiny cup, shot glass size almost, of OJ. I mean, these stuff are so small. It's like a couple of swigs. So I'm that mom. When we go to big events, I refuse to mortgage the home so everybody can have those hot dogs that are turning around on a wheel behind the concession stand.
It's crazy because we don't mind being gouged. We go, we understand. We go to a game. It's going to be expensive. If you want to buy a jersey, it's going to be $100. It's just part of the experience, right? The problem with concessions is there are no cheaper options. And that is where I think teams and organizations have really lost it. You've just got to have many different options out there. Go ahead, have the expensive, high-end stuff. Some people will pay for it, but I don't want to buy an $18 barbecue sandwich for my 5-year-old that's going to take one bite of it and then throw it away. I remember, I've talked about this for years now. Remember my $9 water and banana at Disneyland? It's because there were no cheaper options. It was literally the cheapest thing I could buy there, and it ruined my experience. I've paid $40 for the Monte Cristo at Disneyland. I've paid premium prices, and I was just fine with it. You just have to have options out there, and by slashing prices on the most basic foods, the cheapest foods to make, then I think it's a win on every level.
David from Salt Lake City, good morning. Of course, we're expecting the vote on the sales tax increase of 0.5% to happen tonight. And then the ticket surcharge would be, it looks like $1 to $3. But nachos are going to be a bargain. What are your thoughts?
If I was going to go to something, I'd just smuggle food in for that price still.
Sneaky.
But my thought is it's a bad deal for Salt Lake City. An overwhelming majority of the folks who go to the Jazz games, who go to the hockey games, don't live in Salt Lake City where we're paying for where we're giving this $1 billion of corporate welfare to a billionaire. And most of the people that do drive in from the burbs and around the state for these activities, every dime that they spend in the city is within the walls of the Delta Center. So if they're going to be then giving back, $100 million for so-called affordable housing, and unfortunately the definition of affordable housing that Salt Lake City now uses puts homes that are $700 a month more than market rate, they call affordable. It's a numbers game. It's a sleight of hand. $100 million back for us giving $1 billion to billionaires. It's a bad deal. And it's going to happen, I know. And this mayor and this city council love to give billions of corporate welfare to billionaires, but it's a bad deal, and it's got to end somewhere.
Thanks, David, for the phone call. Just to put in perspective what this sales tax increase is, if you buy a $10 burger, it's going to cost you an extra 5 cents. If you spend $100, that's an additional 50 cents. And you were talking about, well, what if you buy something more expensive, like a car? Well, cars actually are exempt.
Well, I said a big screen television. I was aware that cars are exempt. We've talked about that before.
Well, let's talk about the big screen television. Say that's $1,000, then it's going to be $1,005. It's a $5 increase. So this is not a huge increase, though, because it's every single purchase, then it's going to be massive amounts. It's going to be millions and tens of millions and hundreds of millions of dollars over the long run. But for you, let's be honest, you're not going to feel that nickel. Okay. You're not going to feel that 50 cents.
You need to be the first one through the wall to buy the nachos, and I need you to take a photo of it, text it to me, because I want to know how many nachos you get.
Well, it'd be 9 nachos with like a whisper of cheese.
You have to text it to me, Dave. You've got to be the first one over there.
I'm
first
buying
one
it,
in
though.
line.
Yeah,
of
for
course
sure.
you are. You're buying all of it, and then I want photos. Straight ahead. Of course, I just want to make another point. We will continue to follow the vote all day long right here and into tomorrow morning. If you cannot, for some reason, catch our coverage later today about the vote at Salt Lake City Hall on the sales tax increase, you bet Tim and Amanda will have full coverage first thing in the morning right here on KSL News Radio. Hey, it wasn't supposed to turn out this way. Hurricane Helene hit the Florida coast 500 miles and 30 hours away from Asheville, North Carolina. But as I'm watching video out of this area, there are towns in North Carolina that are wiped off the map, roads destroyed. They're packing in supplies now using mules. In a moment, we're going to take you live to North Carolina for a resident's perspective on how bad things are on the ground.
You've heard us say catastrophic devastation within our county. I would go a little bit further and say we have biblical devastation through the county. We've had biblical flooding.
Dave and Dujanovic.
A lot of us are filling our workdays with podcasts.
When you're working, go to KSLNewsRadio.com.
Click on Dave and Debbie's podcast and pick a topic and story length.
Podcast with Dave and Debbie. Then get to work with KSL News Radio.
This is Jeff Stout with Fink and McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple. There are lots of mortgage lenders out there, so why choose Fink and McGregor? Here are some good reasons. We are a broker. That means we can shop loan terms on your behalf, including loan programs, rates, and closing costs. We make it easy. We can take your application within a few short minutes, either on the phone or in person, on our fast application website, 4minutemortgage.com. We can help sift through options to find the best solution for you. This can include loan programs, credit fixes, or loan strategies. We are fast, really fast. Most loans close within a couple weeks. Start to finish, we are here for you. Apply today at 4minutemortgage.com. Fink and McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple, 801-264-9494. That's 264-9494. Or on the web at finkmcgregor.com. NMLS 289115.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
We all want a stressless holiday season. With Soda Weight Loss, you will stress much less. With state-of-the-art weight loss, you won't have to stress about fitting into that holiday outfit. You won't stress about how you look in your family photo. You'll stress less about emotional eating. My Soda dietitian and coach took the stress out of losing weight for me, and they will for you too. I lost 37 pounds in 90 days and have kept it off stress-free for nearly 3 years. Stress less about potentially dangerous fat loss drugs. Stress less about pills and injections. Stress less about crazy, sometimes dangerous side effects. You want less stress for the holidays? Then start the stressless way to get rid of the pounds and inches currently causing your stress. Soda is the stress-free, natural way to healthy living. When it comes to your Soda weight loss journey, there's no time to lose, only time to win. So stress less and start winning by losing that unwanted weight. Have a stressless holiday season with the energy and vitality you deserve. Check it out at Soda Weight Loss, SOTAweightloss.com.
Beehive Plumbing now offers premier service. 10 years of coverage on both parts and labor. Call or visit beehivepremier.com for expert experience every time.
Rescue, redemption, recovery, re-entry. That's what happens at the rescue mission of Salt Lake City.
My name's India.
My name is Kelly.
So I was a heroin addict.
I was living in my car.
Then I decided it was time that I got help.
You don't know what to expect.
The rescue mission of Salt Lake does not accept any federal, state, or city funding. Everything is wholly supported through your generous tax-deductible contributions, along with donations of our friends and supporters.
You have a bed. You have a shower. We get everything that we need.
87% of every dollar goes to the rescue mission services. The other 13%, hard costs to run the mission building itself.
Like I have that hope now.
Thank goodness.
From the recovery program to a place to lay your head at night. And meals served every morning, afternoon, and evening all year long, as well as food boxes for families in need. The rescue mission needs our help.
Like a new life, that newfound hope.
That's what I'm grateful for.
Find out how at rescuesaltlake.org.
Exciting news, Master Electrical Services has joined Mountain Home Services.
Every day, Cintas service reps help businesses get ready for the workday. They provide freshly laundered workwear delivered every week. Mats, mops, restroom and cleaning supplies. First aid and safety products to help your employees stay safe. They even test and inspect fire extinguishers and emergency lights. Cintas helps keep your business running smoothly. See what Cintas can do for you. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
This report is brought to you by Macy's. Don't miss Macy's VIP sale. Use your coupon or Macy's card and take an extra 30% off the latest fall trends and save 15% off skincare, makeup, and more. Savings off regular and already reduced prices. Exclusions apply. Now at Macy's.
With Wendy's, breakfast burrito is everything you want for breakfast. Fresh cracked eggs, seasoned potatoes, American cheese, cheese sauce, bacon or sausage, all rolled up into one warm tortilla. Want the boss of breakfast burritos? Gotta be Wendy's at participating U.S. Wendy's.
Tune in to KSL News Radio tonight at 6 o'clock. We've got a debate doubleheader going for you. You'll hear it here live. First is the candidates for the Utah Attorney General's race will face off, and it's hosted by the Utah Debate Commission. And then stick around for the 7 o'clock debate between the vice presidential candidates. Again, you'll hear it here live. It's a debate doubleheader right here on KSL News Radio starting at 6 o'clock.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Tim Hughes. First, Breeze Airways is adding a new flight from the Provo Airport to Washington Dulles Airport in Virginia. Second, Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson says she's not going to endorse any presidential candidate before the election. And third, a 75-year-old Saratoga Springs woman died after being hit by a car. Utah County Sheriff Sergeant Spencer Cannon says the driver remained on the scene and is cooperating. We're going to shoot for a high today of 81 degrees and warming up quickly out there, 59 now in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
There are a lot of recorded interviews coming out of the Asheville, North Carolina area, which has been ravaged by what became Tropical Storm Helene.
But this is just, it's hard to understand. I mean, this is just massive. This will take years to clean up if it's ever.
We've got a lot of family businesses that have been here since the turn of the century. They're devastated.
What I have been watching unfold over the last couple of days is heartbreaking.
And this town is devastated.
It's raw.
Big cities.
Entire communities in that area have been wiped off the face of the planet because of the flooding that resulted after the hurricane had hit the Florida coast.
And part of the problem they're running into right now is just the way these communities are designed. Many of these communities, it's one road in, one road out. So when this washes out and when it floods out and it is impassable, there is no way to get help in. And literally they are receiving drops from airplanes with food, supply, medicine. And Debbie, this is one I hadn't seen. They're using mules.
Yeah, they're packing supplies in on mules because the roads are impassable. We can replay these recorded interviews all day long, but to me, it's just not the same as taking our listeners to North Carolina. And thankfully, Robert Mabe, I hope I pronounced your last name right, Robert.
That's great. Yep.
Thank you so much. You live in Charlotte. You're about 2 hours. Well, I mean, who knows how long it would take you to get to Asheville now, but you have family that lives in Asheville. And we're so thankful that you've taken the time to join us this morning. Set the scene so our listeners can understand what is happening to the people of North Carolina.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. I'll say first of all, I'm here in Charlotte, like you were saying, a couple hours. Normally from Asheville, it'd take a lot longer. Right now, as I'll get into, But we really did get pretty lucky here in Charlotte where I am. And really, it's just been really sad and scary to see what has happened to our neighbors in places like Asheville, as well as recreational spots like Chimney Rock, really, beloved tourist attractions, fun things to do with your family, young kids, where they were just absolutely devastated. Lake Lure, another example of this, the dam and everything that was involved with the flooding and overwhelming those shores there, really scary. I grew up going to a lot of these special places, and it looks like they're going to take years to rebuild and recover, if at all, so that visitors can continue to enjoy those places. Really, roads being completely washed out, washed away, along with the extreme flooding. My heart just goes out to all the businesses and also families affected in these areas. I just want to say I'm thankful it wasn't worse here where we are in Charlotte. It could have been so much worse. Our thoughts go out to everyone in Western North Carolina and Tennessee where the damage to the infrastructure was so severe. Hopefully the power can be restored anywhere that is still in the dark. It's crazy to think this far after the initial impact that they could still be in the dark, but large swaths of Western North Carolina are still in that state. And it was so bad. I wanted to mention this. Governor Roy Cooper, our governor, said during a press conference to treat everything in Western North Carolina like all roads were closed. I've never heard anything like that before. And I think it just is a really highlights that these communities are not used to seeing this kind of extreme weather. They may not have been prepared for it. It's hard to prepare for it even when you are used to such extreme weather conditions. But yeah, that was really just hard to see, especially Asheville, especially Boone. Whole communities really just in a pretty dark spot right now.
We're speaking with Robert Mabe right now, a resident in Charlotte, North Carolina. Robert, do you have any family or friends from Asheville, which was one of those areas that was just devastated and decimated?
Oh, yeah. So I actually do have a cousin. He and his wife live out in Asheville, and thankfully they were okay. I think downtown and certain parts of town were hit a lot worse than others. Thankfully, they're okay. They lost power, and they were without power for, I believe, 3 nights. So that's pretty scary on its own. But they also knew people who didn't have cell service, who were completely cut off. And as you can imagine, not being able to leave your house, not having a clear road to get out, and also being cut off from the people you're trying to communicate with and let them know what's going on. It's a pretty scary situation. So it's still a developing situation out there in a lot of places that are kind of isolated.
Robert, we've got about 30 seconds left. It just seems like a lot of residents need need our help.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I know the Red Cross is doing a lot of great things. There's a lot of really good opportunities to donate, to just, offer a lend a helping hand if you can. If you know anyone in the region, ask them to get you connected to resources. I'm not sure if y'all can share resources, but, just that's what I'm trying to do is, I don't have a ton I can help with, but I think any little bit can go a long way, especially with just the basic needs of people right now.
Robert, best of luck. Stay safe. And we know that hurricane season usually goes through the end of November. So hopefully this is the last big one that this region will see. But thank you so much for joining us.
Well, and I would even say that I would never expect this to hit Asheville, North Carolina. It was a hurricane destined for the coast of Florida, and Helene, just before we knew it, it was pummeling parts of Georgia. You just heard Robert mention Tennessee. And then the tropical storm it turned into just unleashed 30 hours of rain 500 miles away from where it hit the coastline in Florida. And that 500 miles away was Asheville, North Carolina. They had no reason really to expect that it would have that kind of a reach.
Well, in Utah, and I know we get snow, but just think of all the rain that we receive. We average about 11 inches for the entire year. All of the rain that we get, we average about 11 inches. They got 30 inches. 30. in less than 24 hours.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Question: what will you find on all over-the-counter or OTC medicine packages to help you choose the right drug and use it safely? The answer: the drug facts label. This label lists the medicine's active ingredients and purpose, how much to take, and warnings you should know before using it. Remember, even OTC medicines you buy without a prescription can cause side effects you don't want. So follow the information listed on the drug facts label. For more information, visit fda.gov/drug facts label. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson.
When we're trying to digest the news of the day, we have to remember that instant certainty is the enemy of truth. A flashy headline may distract you from the real issue and the important conversations underneath.
Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson, 1 to 3 on KSL News Radio.
It's 10:01 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. Police in Cottonwood Heights asking for help locating a missing Utah National Guard member who hadn't been seen for about 2 weeks. 51-year-old Matthew Johnson was last seen September 20th. Police say his disappearance is completely uncharacteristic.
We're checking with neighbors and possible some doorbell cameras. We will follow up on all viable leads.
Cottonwood Heights Police Sergeant Gary Young tells KSL TV they did find Johnson's truck about a block or so from his house. They think that's suspicious on its own. One man is dead after a rollover crash in Kane County. UHP says a semi-truck was traveling down Highway 14 when it went off the road, rolled, and landed upside down. The identity of the driver has not been released. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. A senior White House official now telling ABC News that Iran is poised to launch a retaliatory attack on Israel, likely with ballistic missiles. IDF spokesperson Daniel Hagari and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu both said the response to an Iranian attack from Israel would be severe. Israel has moved ground forces into southern Lebanon to counter Hezbollah. Your money at this moment, the NASDAQ down sharply this morning, down 322 points. The Dow Jones average down 158 right now. And our KSL weather. We've got sunshine and warm today, but cool overnight. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:02.
Here's a way to get breaking news updates anywhere you go.
At the store or in a work meeting, you can get breaking news on your phone.
You can quickly read it, swipe, or click for more. It's super discreet, super fast.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
As the beautiful golds, reds, and bright yellows appear on the trees, the air turns crisp and the fall takes hold. Your fun changes from shorts and flip-flops to hiking boots and flannel shirts, along with the endless trails to hike or ATV. When you visit Bear Lake, you visit so much more than the ordinary. From a wildlife refuge to scenic trails to the shores of the beautiful Caribbean Blue Lake, everything takes on a whole new look. See it for yourself this fall, or plan your trip for the first winter snow. Snowshoeing, snowmobiling, logs on a fire, as you warm your toes and sip warm cider in one of Bear Lake's cozy cabin getaways. To find out more about everything that's available to you and to book your stay, visit bearlake.org. Bear Lake, a little piece of paradise, just right outside your back door. See it for yourself. Visit scenicidaho.org.
I'm Utah Tax Attorney Jordan Wilcox. Listen to what actual clients have had to say about working with us.
Hi, I'm Gary. I'm a building contractor. About a year prior to the market crashing, we had a big job that was unable to pay a bill of about 6 figures. We were still left with a very difficult situation with the IRS.
Eventually, at the end of the day, I realized that the penalties and interest were growing faster than my ability to save to deal with it. I had talked to people and I felt that Jordan Wilcox represented best what I thought could help me, primarily because they were local. And I needed a bigger solution than I was coming up with. It takes too long to figure it out on your own.
Hi, I'm Jordan Wilcox. You need a tax attorney that's not afraid to fight for you. Visit taxhelput.com to schedule your free consultation.
I would recommend Jordan Wilcox. It feels very good to not have the IRS on your back.
That's taxhelput.com.
When Dee and I built our new home, and it's almost been 10 years now, I think of all of the appliances that we put in that house, and I cannot tell you how many of them already we have had some major repairs and even replacements. You know the one thing that I haven't given a second thought to? It's the Connecticut soft water system. It is remarkable. We've had 2 systems in 2 different homes, and not once have we ever called with an issue to my friends at Connecticut. It's time for you to call Connecticut. If you're replacing an old system or if you're building a new home, whatever it might be, you will be amazed at how efficient the Connecticut soft water system is. For example, when your neighbor puts in 3 bags of salt in his or her system, you will be putting in only 1. It's remarkable how efficient it is. Give them a call. Great people to do business with. Call Northern Utah's authorized Connecticut dealer at 801-576-8600 or go to softwaterutah.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Heather Kelly.
Improving on northbound I-15 coming out of Utah County, but you'll still see a few brake lights between Midvale and Murray. And then it sounds like UHP is going to do a slowdown southbound I-15 between 4500 and 5300 south in Murray. That is due to debris in the middle of the lanes of travel, so don't be surprised if you run into some slowing there, but it should quickly clear out once they get the debris removed. Celebrate Taco Tuesday the tasty way at Cafe Rio. Handmade tortillas bring the vibes, slow braised meats bring the punch, and 12 tasty toppings bring the party. Starting at just $2.49. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll have warm daytime temperatures for the rest of the week, lows dropping into the 50s overnight, and right now 61 degrees. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
We just took you inside of North Carolina to speak live to a resident. His name is Robert Mabe. He lives in Charlotte, about 120 miles outside of Asheville. He has family that live in Asheville. And if you have missed what happened over the weekend regarding Asheville, North Carolina, and the communities surrounding that area, they have basically been cut off from the world. Cell phones can't work, food supplies can't get to them, and roads destroyed.
One of the things that stood out to me is he said that the governor announced to the rest of the state, just assume that all roads in West North Carolina are closed. Just assume that none of those are open.
So Chimney Rock is an area that Robert spoke to us about. And this looked like, it kind of reminded me when I saw before photos of this area, a little bit of like Park City-ish, kind of like a little getaway, kind of a fun touristy area in North Carolina. It's gone. It's been wiped off the face of the planet by flooding. And this is flooding. You may be saying, like, where did the flooding come from? Hurricane Helene. 500 miles away, Hurricane Helene hits the coast of Florida. And for some reason, takes off as a tropical storm and target Asheville and surrounding communities. Here's our conversation just a few moments ago, part of it with Robert.
Really, it's just been sad and scary to see what has happened to our neighbors in places like Asheville, as well as recreational spots like Chimney Rock, really, beloved tourist attractions, fun things to do with your family, young kids. where they were just absolutely devastated. Lake Lure, another example of this. You know, I grew up going to a lot of these special places, and it looks like they're going to take years to rebuild and recover, if at all.
Part of what is so shocking about this, my parents used to live in Asheville, North Carolina. My dad played minor league baseball for the Asheville Smokies, and what surprises them so much is it is not in the path of a hurricane. Like, you wouldn't think this is an area that could be hit. It's 300 plus miles in from the East Coast. It's 500 miles, north of Florida, the Florida coast. So why would you think that a hurricane would pass through and dump, 30 inches of water into this area, causing massive mudslides, flooding, washing out roads? There are still hundreds of thousands of people without any kind of electricity, water. Obviously, the flood water is just toxic, so dangerous.
Some of the stories that have stood out to me is Lake Lure, beautiful area in North Carolina. It is now a lake filled of remnants of homes. I don't know if you've seen photos of Lake Lure, Dave. I'm going to show one to you on my monitor from across the room here. That there is no water anymore. It is just covered with sticks, wood from homes. All of those homes and debris in the area have destroyed that lake. I read the story and listened to the story of a 75-year-old man in North Carolina whose home was on the other side of a river with the banks. The river rose 19 feet in a matter of a day, and he got swept away and miraculously grabbed onto a tree, was hanging on to that tree, 75-year-old man, hanging on to that tree for 7 hours, according to reporting by the New York Times, who actually went to that community to tell the story of Bruce Tippett and what happened to Bruce Tippett. He held onto that tree for 7 hours screaming for help, but it was too dangerous and the waters were running too high for rescuers. They actually brought out the rescue teams, and the chief said it's way too dangerous for us to put our teams in the water. Bruce finally let go. His family has no idea what happened to him. But they thought he got swept away initially when the floodwaters came through, because they saw him standing in the doorway of his home, and then he was gone. And then the next thing they knew, he's hanging onto this tree, screaming for help for 7 hours. So that story has really resonated with me in many ways. I was just weeping when I was hearing that story.
It reminds me of the Fox meteorologist that was reporting during the hurricane. And there was a woman that tried to drive through some of the floods, got stuck, and she was essentially buried in water, and she was calling out for help. And the meteorologist is live on the air, and he tells her, "Hey, we've called 911. They are coming. Just be patient." And she panics, and she's trying to leave. He actually goes down into her, puts her on his back, and then carries her out. But to your point, Debbie, you can call 911. There's no guarantee they're going to get there. And even if they do get there, no guarantee they're going to even be able to rescue her, because the area is so dangerous.
When Robert called the show just moments ago from Charlotte, North Carolina, where he lives, he said that he heard the governor of North Carolina say this, and he's never heard anything like it before.
It was so bad. I wanted to mention this. Governor Roy Cooper, our governor, said during a press conference to treat everything in Western North Carolina like all roads were closed. I've never heard anything like that before, and I think it just is a really highlights that these communities are not used to seeing this kind of extreme weather. They may not have been prepared for it.
And communities are trying to rally. Around the country, people are sending resources as much as they can. We sent Utahns. We spoke to a woman from North Ogden that's working for the Red Cross, volunteering for the Red Cross. But quite frankly, when you can't get to these areas, there's only so much you can do right now.
So the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has announced a major effort to help those impacted by Hurricane Helene. Trucks of water, food, hygiene kits, other supplies being sent to the area as quickly as they can get there. And our very own Don Brinkerhoff just sent us a note. He said it in the 11 o'clock hour today. He's going to be speaking with Geneva Sanchez. She's the Stake Relief Society president in Pensacola, Florida, the Pensacola, Florida stake. So Don will be keeping us updated throughout the show on what their efforts are there to get supplies to those affected by Hurricane Helene and also Tropical Storm Helene.
Yeah, the church said they expect thousands of volunteers from the church to spend their weekends mucking out flooded homes, clearing debris, removing down trees, tarping roofs. I would imagine the missionary program down there, which is very typical for this area, the missionaries will stop proselyting, will stop going door to door, and they will just become assistants. They will help in any way they can. They'll show up in their work clothes, and they will get to work.
They need our help. They need our help. They need our prayers. Anything that we can do and give, I know will be much appreciated. Just watching what is going on there in those areas, and again, just watching over the weekend the flooding that happened after the hurricane in Asheville, North Carolina. It is absolutely heartbreaking. Straight ahead, Dave and I going to have a friendly debate about how not to lose friends and cut off family members this election season. The Deseret News did a great job breaking this down. Dave and I are gonna debate some of their tips next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
You know KSL is the only news radio for your car, right?
The only news radio for your smart speaker.
Come here in the morning. It's the latest news and traffic. In the afternoon, news and updated weather.
We have you covered at KSL News Radio.
If you have a family member that is struggling with addiction, they can either be in recovery or maybe they need help. They're looking for help. Renaissance Ranch wants to help you, the family member, because you might feel a little lost, unsure of what to do and how best to help. They offer free online classes that are open to the public, that are free, and you can go to as many of these classes as you wish.
Yeah, this is definitely a home run, right, for people who are trying to cope with their loved one's addiction. It's a home run for many reasons. It gets you free help. You can, like Dave said, go to as many of these classes as you want to. And you can do this and attend these classes that are online from the comfort of your own home.
All you have to do is go to renaissanceranch.com. You'll find these classes that are taught for spouses, for parents. They're told from a personal perspective. There's a women's support group, even a couples recovery group.
It's faith-based, and it's been clinically proven for more than 20 years. Really easy to find them.
renaissanceranch.com.
When the politicians speak and the headlines become a soupy noise.
Make it great again. Burdened by what has
and lost car keys and forgotten passwords overwhelm. It's time to turn off the screens and take a break. Join KSL for the 194th semi-annual General Conference of The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Coverage begins Saturday morning at 9:30. Take conference with you at 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and on the app for KSL News Radio.
Is using separate office technology like business telephones, chat, video conferencing, and file transferring complicated and pricey? What if all of those things were bundled into one simple product that has over 99.9% uptime, crystal clear quality, and is affordable? And what if you could get your business telephone bundle from a proven office technology partner like Les Olson IT? You can.
Les Olson IT. Transform your old, outdated kitchen with Half Price Granite. For a limited time, Half Price Granite is offering special pricing starting at $25 per square foot installed. That's lower than most big box stores. These prices are some of the lowest around. Granite, quartz, marble, and quartzite, all starting at $25 per square foot installed. Call 801-486-1700 or visit halfpricegranite.com. Half Price Granite, affordable luxury.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline nasal spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it! Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, police in Cottonwood Heights trying to locate a National Guardsman who's been missing for a couple of weeks. Second, a senior White House official warns Iran could be planning a missile attack against Israel. And third, we'll be hearing horns more often from front-runner trains because of safety concerns. 61 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
The Deseret News published an article actually talking about a re-release of a podcast episode. The podcast is called A Braver Way. And the aspect of this that we're going to focus on is disagreeing about politics without losing heart. How do you debate family members in a friendly way, or friends in a kind way, about politics without losing friendships and cutting off family members?
I remember asking this question to my mom when I was a teenager, because I saw James Carville, and he's married to Mary Madeline. And James Carville used to work for Bill Clinton, and Mary Madeline is a very conservative. I thought, like, how do you go from two extremes, like extremely Democratic, very Republican, and how do you get together and fall? And she's like, yeah, they probably just don't talk about politics at the dinner table. And sure enough, when they were interviewed and asked that very question, I saw in a later interview, they said, yeah, we don't talk about that. There's so much more to us than just talking about politics. And I thought that was such an incredible, example of how you can do it.
Well, they love each other.
Yes. We forget that sometimes. It seems easy.
Yeah.
You make it sound like, oh, they just love each other. Yeah, people forget that.
So what A Braver Way podcast has done with this episode is they've broken down 10 of their secrets to keeping your family together during political discussions. And we don't have time to get through all of them, but let's pick some of our top
tips,
secrets. Yeah, let's call them secrets. 10 of their secrets. Try to control that initial reaction. That's actually number 2 on the list, but I think that's really, really important, is just not getting wound up the minute something comes out of somebody's mouth at the Thanksgiving dinner table.
Yes. It's one of the hardest things to do because we naturally say things in an awkward way, or we don't articulate it in just the right way. And even when people say bombastic and what we think may be crazy things, when you start peeling back some of the layers, you realize, okay, this might be coming from a better place than I initially thought.
Which one stood out to you?
I really liked the learning more together, which is a tough thing to do. I can say, all right, maybe I'm a little wrong, and maybe you're a little wrong, but you also might be a little right, and I'm a little right. So trying to learn more together is really the goal. And oftentimes I've noticed in my own times doing this, it's almost like who offers the olive branch first? Who concedes the point? Or who gives in? And that almost gives permission for the other person to do the same.
Do you guys talk about politics?
All the time.
So you talk about it on the air, then you go home and you talk about it.
Yeah. But I get asked all the time, obviously, right? And people, hey, Dave, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And I'm honored. I'm grateful that they're interested in what I have to say about it. And oftentimes that opens up the door for me to ask them, hey, what do you think? Because that really helps me, because we can live in a little bit of a bubble, and to find out like just what the average person is thinking or the way they're leaning, I think is great.
So there's no boundaries then.
No.
When this comes up.
You?
I enjoy having personal time to myself. Now I've been in the news business for 35 years, so it feels like forever. And every time I went to a grocery store and had to engage in a conversation, I love talking to y'all. I love it. But sometimes I just want to grocery shop, right? In my family, we generally don't discuss politics. We don't. And I'm fine with that. I'd rather talk to my kids about how their careers are going, how their schooling's going, how their applications for, new certification programs, whatever they're involved with. I'd rather learn that than talk about what's going on in Washington, D.C. with my family.
Because it's not a hobby for you. It's not fun. Because some people will look at politics and they enjoy that aspect.
I want to be more in the moment with my family and the things that are top of mind for them, not who's ahead in the polls. Yeah, that's just where I come from. Now, that's always been my mom mentality. But like I said, I've been in the news business 35 years. And if I went home and every single time I was turning a big story for the television station, KSL5 television or Channel 4, wherever I was working, and that was the only thing we were talking about, I think my family would have a right to ban me from the kitchen table, right? I'm just more curious about my kids' lives than I am about the presidential candidates and what they're talking about today. Because today it's one thing and tomorrow it's going to be another. So it's not that we ban it. It just doesn't come up. I spent time this weekend with two of my kids. It just didn't come up at all. So saying something like, I love this, is one of the secrets that's listed in this Deseret News article. Oh, that's a good point. So you talked about an olive branch. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the points they bring up is say, oh, that's a good point. So you're acknowledging somebody else's position and that they've made, in your view, a good point. It doesn't mean you agree with them, but you're acknowledging that they made a good point. I love using that phrase.
One of the things I've noticed in debates, and I will get sucked into a debate as easily as anything in the world. I love conversations and I love debate. As soon as people feel like they're not being listened to, or you're just tuning them out and waiting for your turn to talk, that's when I've noticed that the temperature of the conversation rises. If you're genuinely not listening and not engaging, you're just waiting for your turn to talk, then that's when things start getting heated.
So you have another one on your list.
I think asking someone how they arrived at their perspective, like how did you get there, and finding out the deeper meaning behind it, because oftentimes someone can come from a very deep and emotional or insightful place where they are far more expert than you are. Even if you're super confident, they could be coming in because of their life experience with a totally unique perspective. So asking someone how they got there? How did you get to that opinion?
Show your work.
A little bit, yeah, right.
on the math problems.
Yeah, because if it's like I read it on some obscure website, that all right, well, maybe how confident are you in, War Eagle, swordacorn.com, right? I mean, some of these weird blogs that are out there, you can say, okay, well, why are you so confident that is an article that is well vetted?
So speaking of debates, I think we had a pretty friendly one here. Just different perspectives on how to keep the family and friendships going. Family relationships and friendships are far more important than anything, right? I mean, this is what really matters, is how we forge and keep and protect our friendships and our family members, the people who are most important in our lives. Straight ahead, speaking of debates, there is one tonight, and you can hear it here live. There is actually two tonight. It is a debate doubleheader. Let me see if I can say it right this time. A debate doubleheader. 6 o'clock tonight. Utah Attorney General's candidates, Utah Attorney General's office candidates will debate tonight at 6 o'clock. You can hear it here live. And then that's followed by the vice presidential debate between Vance and Walz, which happens at 7 p.m. Again, we're carrying it live right here at KSL News Radio.
It's 10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top local story this hour. Wasatch County Sheriff's Office once again asking for public help to find a Jeep Gladiator or Rubicon that they say is linked to a homicide investigation. Homicide happened at Jordanelle State Park. Patrick Hayes was shot and killed September 25th. And surveillance video from the state park shows the Jeep pull up behind Hayes' vehicle. You might start hearing more train horns at more hours of the day now that some of the front runners' quiet zones along the Wasatch Front have been temporarily suspended. Here's KSL News Radio's Adam Small.
This is because the Federal Railroad Administration says they found some deficiencies with some of the crossings between Salt Lake City and Provo, and they've instructed train attendants to sound their horns as they go through crossings for added safety until they can get them up to federal standards, according to a social media post from Lehigh City. There's no word yet on when the quiet zones will be reinstated.
We've reached out to UTA for more information, expecting to hear back a little later today. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Union dock workers from Texas to Maine are on strike after failing to reach agreement on a new contract. The International Longshoremen's Association and the United States Maritime Alliance still far apart. The union wants wage increases and protections against automation taking their jobs. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down on the day now, 153 points, while the NASDAQ is down 288, about 1.5% right now. And our KSL weather, we've got sunshine expected today and temperatures in the mid-80s all week. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
News doesn't just mean information or dates.
It's the story of our local history being told in real time.
Be a part of the story. This is Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
We hope to be a part of your story. We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
Introducing Peach Doors and Windows. Are you ready to upgrade your home with stunning new doors but are overwhelmed with how to begin? Peach Doors is here to make the entire process smooth and stress-free. Visit their showroom to see their wide selection of wood doors, durable fiberglass, energy-efficient aluminum, oversized glass bifold doors, and so much more. It's not just about looks, it's about durability and security to protect what matters most. Let them help you find the perfect match for your home, budget, and personal style. Visit their showroom and see for yourself. No pushy sales tactics, only guidance from their experienced staff. No inflated markups just to offer so-called discounts. See their 5-star reviews where customers rate them on their attention to detail through every step of the sale and installation process. Amazing home transformations begin with windows and doors. Serving Logan to St. George, just Google Peach Building to see for yourself.
This is Derek Overstreet of the New Millennium Group and host of Stop Working and Start Living Radio. If you're close to or in retirement and you don't have a tax plan, call us right now, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. Listen, our country's been spending like never before, and the tax bill is coming soon. If you need an income tax strategy and a financial plan that will get you through the rest of your life, give my team a call, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. If you want an investment plan that allows you to keep more of your gains and pay less taxes, give us a call, 888-999-6370. My team specializes in the type of plan that will get you retired 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible. So, get a no-cost tax analysis by calling 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. My team is standing by now.
Trail mix, beef jerky, mixing all the soda flavors at the gas station soda machine. Snacks are better on the road. The gas is better when it's top tier. And the pit stop is better when there's a dinosaur there. Love the filler moments at a Sinclair gas station near you with DinoCare, our top-tier gasoline. Some sweet and salty snacks for the commute, and a big green dino for the memories. Find a gas station near you at sinclairoil.com. Sinclair, fill up your life.
Nearly 70% of Utah's land is controlled by the federal government, severely limiting Utah's ability to actively manage and protect our natural resources. Our families, businesses, and communities know there's a better way. Utahns have been good stewards of our public lands for generations. That's why we're asking each and every Utahn to get informed, speak up, and learn more at standforourland.utah.gov.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. And here's Heather Kelly.
Well, things are back to freeway speeds finally, especially on I-15 northbound coming out of Utah County. That was a pretty slow slog all morning long. But we do have to still contend with construction zones. You're going to see that on Legacy Parkway, both northbound and southbound between Bountiful and Farmington. And that does slow traffic down from time to time, both north and southbound. And then you've got delays on 114 South and South Jordan. This is westbound between 1300 West and Redwood Road, where only 2 left lanes are available. Common Spirit hospitals, clinics, and caregivers, all connected to advanced healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll see warm daytime temperatures for the rest of the week. Lows dropping into the 50s overnight. We could actually set a record come Friday with 88 degrees. And right now, we're at 63 degrees. It's partly cloudy. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Look, your cell phone number is so important to you. I mean, it is your lifeline. You know, if you didn't have your cell phone number, you probably, or your cell phone, you probably wouldn't know, what your kids' phone numbers were, what your friends' phone numbers were. Well, KSL5 Television just wrapped up an investigation called Disconnecting from Danger, where they investigated cell phone providers and found that there is an issue with cell phone providers following domestic abuse laws. And in a moment, we're going to speak live to Courtney Johns. She's a newer member of the KSL5 investigative team, and she's going to walk us through what she discovered, Dave.
I will say I didn't fully realize how important it was until my daughter went on her mission. So she was leaving for 18 months, and the only way to keep that phone number was to just keep paying that monthly bill. And she didn't need her phone. She was living in Paraguay. So for 18 months, we paid a full cell phone bill to keep her phone number. That's how important the phone number is. And we become so attached to our number, and it's attached to so many apps, bank accounts, verifications. So it really does become the lifeline to every other aspect of our life. So this was a story, Courtney, as you join us here in studio, that I hadn't thought about. But as you were laying it out, I realized, this would be catastrophic in a domestic violence situation.
Absolutely. I mean, think about two-factor authentication that we use for
all of our accounts. And especially it's a safety issue for abuse survivors, because if they have an abuser who they have informed police departments, this person is dangerous, and the only way that that police department knows to inform them that this abuser may be in their area, or they think that this person is a threat, maybe they've gotten out of prison, maybe there's new information, likely is by contacting them from that phone number as well. So there's so many layers to this. I think we really take this for granted, and you don't realize how important this is often with most laws, how important it is until it affects you or someone you love.
I want to start with a woman that you interviewed by the name of Kristen Keener.
Yes.
And she's fighting to keep her phone number.
When Kristen Keener finally got through to a customer service representative, she says she had to fight for her phone number.
Everything is tied to my phone number. All of my accounts, everything is tied to my phone number.
It all started when her ex-husband removed her as an account holder and turned off her phone service.
I was really panicked.
Last June, Kristen went to T-Mobile's store in Taylorsville with a protective order which states her ex-husband must transfer her current wireless number to a separate account.
Like, I'm asking for your help here. Like, I need your help. And they were just like, sorry.
Her experience highlights an issue at the heart of the Safe Connections Act. Just a month after Kristen tried to get her number back, enforcement went into effect, which requires companies like T-Mobile help survivors like Kristen.
So, Courtney, I guess when you're married, I hadn't really thought of it this way, of a way to abuse this privilege is you're on the family plan, so to speak.
Right.
And if something goes sour, your spouse or somebody could just change the plan, and it's not like they go through and they contact everybody in your family to say, hey, is that okay? Is it okay if we shut down your number? So it sounds like these relationships, as they're souring, they start using this as almost a manipulative tool, or just a way to control tactic. Yes.
A control tactic. And the other scary part about this is, if they have access to this, oftentimes that means they also have access to controlling your phone. So that could mean that they know where you are.
Oh, yes.
So it can be used for tracking potentially. So that's another big issue. Another issue is they can see your call log. So they could say, maybe you're a stay-at-home mom, and they could say, well, wait a minute, she is making all these phone calls to all of these resources, or she's applying for jobs, or she is calling the domestic violence hotline, which is another part of the Safe Connections Act that they've been working on to make sure that those numbers no longer show up in the call logs, so that there's no evidence that someone may be reaching out for help.
So I want to give our listeners a really clear understanding about what you referenced, the Safe Connections Act.
Yes.
If somebody is a victim of abuse and they have a similar situation like Kristen described in her story, what does the Safe Connections Act do, and what do victims of abuse need to do to make sure they're being protected by it, Courtney?
Right. So essentially, the Safe Connections Act requires phone companies to let you separate your line from an abuser's account. So if I am sharing an account with an abuser, maybe I have a family phone line of some sort, I can go to a cell phone provider and say, even if I'm not the primary account holder, you legally have to let me give me my phone number back. And I do not have to stay with that phone provider, because that's often why the providers,
so you can
let's be
switch
honest.
Carriers.
Yes, let's be honest. That's likely why they don't want you to do that, is they want to hang on to those people. So they have to let you separate and go wherever you want, no fee, nothing. Now, you can't just say, I am a survivor. You have to provide documentation. So you either have to provide some type of court document, a police document, or an affidavit from a professional, whether that is a doctor, a medical provider, a psychiatrist, or a domestic abuse responder advocate. Exactly, maybe a social worker. And we've provided all of that information on our website as well to give people resources on that.
In fact, I thought when I was looking at the website, you even showed there is a box that says, is it a survivor of domestic abuse? Something
Yes.
along those lines, a box that you can check.
Yes, exactly.
And that allows them to separate, keep that number. They could stay theoretically with that carrier, or they
Correct.
could move.
Exactly. And this act went into effect in 2022, but enforcement just started on July 15th.
Courtney Jones, thank you so much for joining us from the KSL investigative team, an investigative reporter there. Great story. Thank you.
You can find Courtney's full report at KSLTV.com. We've got to get to breaking news right now. We're going to dip into CNN Live, where we're getting word that Iran has just launched a missile attack on Israel. Let's listen in.
Missile defense system, in addition to the Iron Dome, which we have heard so much about. But we have been witnessing dozens potentially of missiles and intercepts happening in the sky above us. It's hard for us to tell exactly how close it is, but as we know, many of the targets that we anticipated from talking to Israeli and American officials was going to be targets in central Israel as well as in southern Israel. And now, of course, we are waiting to see if any of those missiles hit their targets. But of course, beyond that, the debris from some of these intercepts could also potentially be very damaging, very destructive, and very deadly, of course. So we will be monitoring very closely reports in the coming minutes and hours to see what the actual impact of those missiles are on the ground.
Jeremy, thank you. And just so our viewers understand, and you can see on your screen, on the left of your screen, we are looking at images of where Jeremy is reporting from in northern Israel, and we still continue to see raining down on northern Israel. And then in Tel Aviv, we're watching on the right side of your screen. While we look at this, I want to go to the White House. Arlette Saenz is there. Arlette, what are you hearing from White House officials as they monitor this?
Well, there's no question, Dana. The White House officials are closely monitoring this situation as we are now seeing this Iranian missile attack that the U.S. had potentially warned about this morning, potentially playing out just now. The White House, senior White House official had warned us a little over 3 hours ago that the U.S. had seen indications that Iran was planning an imminent ballistic missile attack against Israel. We learned just moments ago that President Biden convened a meeting with Vice President Kamala Harris and his national security team this morning to talk about preparations to help Israel defend against these attacks, and also efforts to try to protect American personnel in the region. As a senior White House official was warning this morning that an attack could be imminent, they did stress that the U.S. would stand ready to help Israel in defense against any type of attack, and also warned that there would be severe consequences for Iran if they do launch a direct military attack against Israel. It comes at a time when tensions in the region have already been incredibly high, and this certainly will escalate fears of concern that there could be a wider regional conflict on the brink of erupting. Now, I will note we will see President Biden a bit later this afternoon at 2:30. He's holding a briefing relating to Hurricane Helene. He's actually canceled or postponed a virtual call he was set to have for the high holidays today. But certainly in the White House behind me, officials are watching the situation very closely, trying to determine what will come next.
Thanks, Arlette. I want to go back to General Hertling. And General Hertling, you know, we talked a little bit earlier in the program about the fact that we have seen missiles raining down from Hezbollah.
This has been live coverage from CNN. We're also trying to tap into our resources at ABC News regarding Iran launching just what we figure is just moments ago, a missile attack on Israel.
And these missiles were intercepted over Israel, according to reports. But Iran has launched missiles, an attack on Israel. We're looking at a live feed from Tel Aviv, Israel. We've also reached out to try to find out more from Amos Giora, who is an Israeli, spends a lot of time in Israel. So we will continue to follow this as Iran launches a missile attack on Israel. Those missiles have been intercepted so far.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Dave and Debbie go out of their way to make sure you hear all sides of a story.
They're working the phones to get several viewpoints on for you.
Hi, it's Tim and Amanda. We get you the full story, too.
We have you covered on KSL News Radio. When I decided to lose weight with soda weight loss, it wasn't just so I could get back in a size 6. Although, I shouldn't minimize the thrill of that after 30 years.
Yeah, you might as well mention it.
It's thrilling. But the reason I did is because I got so frustrated. I couldn't figure out how to do it myself. I kept trying to eat healthy, and I thought I was eating healthy. And I still couldn't walk around the block without getting winded. This is Rebecca. She's one of the awesome nutritionists at Soda.
I'd recommend it to anyone who is just at that point where they're frustrated and they need guidance, because they will get that here, and they'll have a full team of nutritionists that are dedicated in truly teaching them how to eat better so they can live a longer, healthier life and be there for their families.
Yeah, here's the other thing you need to know. No injections, no pills, no hunger. How is that possible? It's possible because Soda has figured out this is not a diet. This is you changing the way you interact with food. Find out how they can help you. Go to sodaweightloss.com. It's spelled SOTA, and it stands for State of the Art.
This week's movie show is brought to you by My Hearing Centers. Schedule a hearing evaluation and be entered to win a set of premium hearing aids by tuning in Friday from 10 to 1.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates. This weekend only, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
This is Jeff Stout with Fink and McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple. There are lots of mortgage lenders out there, so why choose Fink and McGregor? Here are some good reasons. We are a broker. That means we can shop loan terms on your behalf, including loan programs, rates, and closing costs. We make it easy. We can take your application within a few short minutes, either on the phone or in person, on our fast application website, 4minutemortgage.com. We can help sift through options to find the best solution for you. This can include loan programs, credit fixes, or loan strategies. We are fast, really fast. Most loans close within a couple weeks. Start to finish, we are here for you. Apply today at 4minutemortgage.com. Fink and McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple, 801-264-9494. That's 264-9494. Or on the web at finkmcgregor.com, NMLS 289115.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Beatty, Nevada, your getaway to Death Valley, an entryway to a true desert adventure. Enjoy exciting offerings for all your senses and imagination. In Beatty, visit Eddie World, the largest candy store in Nevada, and visit their historic museum, the ghost town of Rhyolite, and see sculptures in the desert at Goldwell. Hiking, biking, and hundreds of miles of ATV trails await you. For the ultimate adventure, make Beatty, Nevada your next destination and claim a free gift at BeattyNevada.org. Wrangle up some fun at Beatty Days 2024, Friday, October 25th through Sunday, October 27th. It's old-fashioned family fun with a chili cook-off, live music, bed races, a classic car show, cornhole and horseshoe tournaments, model railroads, a parade, food and craft vendors, contests for everyone, and lots more. The fun is in Beatty, Nevada this October 25th through the 27th. Visit BeattyNevada.org for the full schedule. That's BeattyNevada.org.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, Gonzaga University, long a basketball powerhouse, will reportedly join the Pac-12 conference. Second, automation, one of the issues in the dock workers' strike that shut down ports on the East and Gulf Coasts. And third, former President Jimmy Carter turns 100 years old today. 63 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
We are continuing our coverage of Iran launching missiles just moments ago on Israel. Dave, you reported before we went to break that it appears that Israel has been able to intercept whatever Iran has fired at it in the last several minutes. Is that with the Iron Dome?
Yes, it looks like as we're watching the video from Tel Aviv, this is a live feed from Tel Aviv, Israel, you do see these flashes in the sky, and that is likely from the Iron Dome. I'm sure it is, because you don't see any explosions on the ground in the city of Tel Aviv so far, not that we can see as the camera is scanning back and forth.
I want to dip back into CNN's live coverage of it as we're watching it here in studio. We're also waiting for ABC News and any coverage they bring us as well. And then in a moment, we are going to get into what has led up to today's missile attack.
What they were going to do, they sent drones which are slow, they sent cruise missiles which are a little bit faster but slow, and then they sent a few ballistic missiles. As far as we're aware this time, predominantly this is ballistic missiles which are fast. It takes about 12 minutes to get from Iran to the center of Israel. It's hard to intercept. With the warning and the preparations last time with US allies, with other partners in the region, which we can expect to be operating at the moment, but there was time to prepare previously. The preparation time may not have been as advanced this time for the defense of Israel. So Israel's success, which was huge last time, only 3 ballistic missiles got through in April. I saw them being intercepted, many of them in the skies over Jerusalem, but only 3 missiles got through. This looks like it will be different. This does show that Iran wants to interrupt and stop Israel targeting Hezbollah, which has been its largest and most important proxy. It's proxy that it's always had, that is understood, that can support Iran if Israel were ever to attack it. But I think the other question that leaves now is, what is Israel's response going to be? Last time, their response was small, and they felt that it was significant that they targeted air defense systems around some of the nuclear production facilities that Iran has, and they felt that message was understood. So how does Israel respond to this? And of course, part of that will be determined by the damage this time. Part of it will be determined by what has been targeted. But last time there was several days delay before Israel responded to Iran's strike. I don't think we're going to be looking at such a lengthy delay. And of course, that's the huge concern, that you can get into an escalation. But because Iran is choosing to come out in support of Hezbollah and disrupt Israel's attack of Hezbollah, it's not inconceivable that there may be targets, military targets in the north, that are part of that operational effort against the Hezbollah in Lebanon. But at the moment, what we're seeing is most of the targeting appears to be in central Israel and perhaps the south as well. There are big air bases there. It's hard to take those bases down, but they're important strategic targets.
All right, thank you. I'm going to go back to Jim Sciutto in Tel Aviv. What about that, the notion of the military targets being potentially hit in Israel? Does that comport with what you're hearing, and most importantly, what you're seeing?
Dana, prior to the start of the attack, the U.S. intel read was that the targets, among the targets, I should say, for Iran were air bases, 2 air bases, but also the Mossad headquarters, which is in the northern part of Tel Aviv here. There's no question that Tel Aviv is under attack, because the number of intercepts we're seeing speaks to this being a target. Whether Mossad is the only target in Tel Aviv, or if it is indeed is one of the targets, we don't know yet. I will tell you, I did see impacts. I saw 2 impacts quite close to the hotel here, and I saw another one further north of here, I might guess a couple miles.
That is CNN's live coverage of the missiles that Iran has launched toward Israel. It appears that they've been intercepted by the Iron Dome that surrounds that area. But there is a backstory to this that began... it's really not fair to say it began a couple of weeks ago, but we saw with the pager explosions on the hips and in the hands of members of Hezbollah, and then the walkie-talkie explosions the next day, and then Israel and what's being called its incursion of Lebanon. Of course, Hezbollah, located in Lebanon, has been firing missiles into Israel as well. And so that was what we saw just a few weeks ago, which has, I don't want to say led up to this, but this is definitely, Iran potentially acting on behalf of Hezbollah. Would you agree, Dave?
Yeah, I think that's what is so fascinating about this is obviously with Israel directly to the south of Lebanon and Iran is far away. They are making the connection. They are making a direct connection to Hezbollah that it operates in Lebanon. These attacks have been in Lebanon. So Iran stepping in is basically showing its support, just like you said, for Hezbollah, a terrorist organization.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story. Breaking news, we're hearing air raid sirens over Tel Aviv. ABC News reporting Iran has launched a missile attack against Israel, apparently in retaliation for Israel's airstrikes and ground action against Hezbollah in Lebanon. Incoming missiles and interceptors have both been seen over Tel Aviv, Israel's largest city. Now, the White House had warned Iran of serious consequences if a missile attack took place. We're waiting to hear more from the White House now. In other news, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints organizing disaster relief command centers after Hurricane Helene. Thousands of volunteers in Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas helping clear debris, cover roofs, and clear out flooded homes. The church also sending trucks with water, food, and hygiene kits. And it's Jimmy Carter's 100th birthday today. Carter's the longest living president in history, the only one to reach 100. More from ABC's Steve Osunsami.
President Carter started hospice care at home in February of 2023. But a reminder, this is a man who beat cancer that had spread to his liver and his brain. He tells his family he now needs to make it through the election, where, unsurprisingly, he plans to vote for Kamala Harris.
And your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down on the day, 198 points right now. The NASDAQ is down 321. Just ahead, it looks like we'll see sunny skies and warm temperatures all week long. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
You know what's great about KSL's traffic coverage? Trained traffic reporters and real listeners.
Trading information and making the commute safer and faster for everyone.
Every 10 minutes on the 9s, we have you covered on KSL News Radio.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avastin-capted Pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Head to Logan for funky fall fun. Jump on your brooms and join us for a fantastic fall break. Here's what's brewing. The North Logan Pumpkin Walk, October 10th through the 15th. Okay, there's no way to describe this amazing and colorful experience, but I will try. There are hundreds of carved pumpkins, plus dozens of displays crafted from painted pumpkins, gourds, and other random vegetables. You have to see it for yourself, and it's free. Celebrate Utah's Harvest Heritage October 18th and 19th at the American West Heritage Center's Fall Harvest Festival. Grain threshing, apple pressing, pony rides, train rides, antique tractors, games, and fun. Get your scream on all month long for spooky encounters on the historic downtown Logan Ghost Tour, or traipsing through a couple of giant corn mazes that may or may not be haunted. Check out live theater and music performances, great restaurants, golf, and USU football games. Head to Logan for funky fall fun. Explore logan.com/fall.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. I've got to tell you about my experience at Hale Center Theater, one of the opening nights for The Magician's Elephant. Now, I knew it was going to be a U.S. premiere. I knew this was going to be something brand new, but I wasn't quite prepared for just how charming this play indeed is. It's all about a young orphan boy who promised his dying mother that he would keep an eye on and watch out for his little sister, but where is she? Only the Magician's Elephant knows. You're going to love The Magician's Elephant. And I'll tell you, I'm used to spectacular things unfolding on the stage, but there is the exit of a major character that is simply magical, almost molecular. One of the most amazing things I've ever seen on a Hale Center Theater stage, and boy, that is saying something. Don't forget, we also have The Addams Family, still to come, Beauty and the Beast. Get your tickets now for A Christmas Carol. Go to hct.org.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Heather Kelly.
No big delays on the major roadways so far around the Wasatch Front and the Wasatch Back. But just a reminder, if you're on US 40 coming out of Park City, trying to get to I-80, the flyover ramp from US 40 to go westbound I-80 remains closed for another week. So you can get onto I-80 from using Silver Creek Road and US 40, but that'll just be a slight adjustment for you. Otherwise, you've got a pretty good drive, I-15, the east and west side belt routes, and the 201 freeway. Celebrate Taco Tuesday the tasty way at Cafe Rio. Handmade tortillas bring the vibes, slow braised meats bring the punch, and 12 tasty toppings bring the party. Starting at just $2.49. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Warmer daytime temperatures for the rest of the week, lows dropping into the 50s overnight. And right now we're at 67 degrees. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com for Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories. On KSL News Radio, Dave and Dujanovic have inside sources.
We're going to talk to Boyd Matheson of Inside Sources and his take, given what's going on right now with Iran launching missiles on Israel. It appears they have been successfully intercepted by the IDF and the Iron Dome, and perhaps other military as well in support of Israel.
And you'll remember back in April, there was a similar attack, drones, missiles, and it was estimated that they were able to intercept about 99% of those missiles. And Boyd, you were just talking about the coordination that has to happen. Can you speak to that a little bit more in depth?
Yeah, and so you have the Iron Dome, which again, a lot of that is built with the U.S. help and assistance. So we know that when this last attack that you mentioned, Dave, took place, it was the Iron Dome, it was the United States, and other partners in the region all kind of taking their turn shooting things down. They shot down over 300, as you said, almost 99% of those, 300 plus that they shot down. And the interesting thing was the aftermath of that. So again, Iran does this big barrage, tries to overwhelm the Iron Dome, and they just take them all out. Very little damage at all. And then the response from the White House was very interesting. Remember, it was Joe Biden who said to Bibi Netanyahu, take the win, don't do anything else, de-escalate. And that has always been kind of the mantra of the Biden administration, is kind of that de-escalate anytime, anywhere. And now I think that's going to be a tougher sell for President Biden to say to Israel, hey, just take the win. You shot them all down. The other thing to keep in mind that I think most of us don't really think about, especially comfortably sitting here in the U.S. and in the state of Utah, there are over 1 million Israelis who right this very second are sitting in a bomb shelter. And millions more have been instructed to be in a bomb shelter. How many of those do we even have in the state or in the country? And yet the people in Israel, that's the neighborhood they live in. They know where the nearest bomb shelter is. They've been instructed to stay very close to one, and many of them, millions of them, are now in them.
I'm watching video behind your right shoulder there, Boyd, on CNN, and it says just moments ago in Tel Aviv. From our vantage point, we obviously know these are missiles being launched at, is that Jerusalem? Tel Aviv.
Yeah, Tel Aviv.
It looks like, honestly, just looks like a firework from a distance that didn't, firework.
Yeah.
It just kind of was a dud. This has got to be, to those million people you were just talking about, this is scary stuff.
Yeah, and this is what they live under on a regular basis. And so the alerts, the one thing that I have been hearing from some of my sources is that they have never seen this level of alerts coming out from the Israeli government in terms of stay close, make sure you know where the nearest bomb shelter is. If you're there, stay in place. So that they're used to those in Israel, to getting those kinds of alerts. But everyone that I'm hearing from who's there in the region is saying, we've never seen this many and this specific alerts going out at one time.
Boyd, because this is not something we've ever experienced, I don't think people realize when we say cruise missiles or ballistic missiles, I was just looking at the list of Iranian ballistic missiles, and these things are 30 to 60 feet tall. They fly extremely fast, and it does, for one missile, we're watching it right now with the Iron Dome, you will see dozens of rockets that go up to intercept.
Yeah.
So for every one that is shot, those 300 that came in April, you've got hundreds or even thousands of rockets that are being shot to bring them down.
Yeah, that's right. That interception process is not just a one-and-done kind of thing. Yeah. The precision isn't quite that great, but it is incredibly effective. The fact that they're able to shoot the vast majority of these down is extraordinary. But to your point, in terms of the size and the impact of these rockets and these missiles, if they only have to score one. Yes. That's the interesting thing about Iran. All they have to do is get one through that Iron Dome, and there will be some real devastation there.
From where you sit, Boyd, what will or what should the White House's response be to this?
I think this is a stand with Israel moment to say, look, they are a partner. They have a right to defend themselves, and we are helping them defend themselves right now in terms of some of these interceptions and some of these things going on. I think they always want to get this path to peace, and of course we always want that. That is the key, and that is the goal. I think the other thing to look at is this is an interesting moment for Iran. If Iran has another 0 for 300 kind of night, that is not good for Iran. One, because it depletes their arsenal, but it also shows how ineffective they are. We've also seen that the Israeli forces have shown incredible skill in terms of their planning, their execution of everything from what they've done in southern Lebanon, taking out these high-ranking leaders. And so in many ways, it really neutralizes Iran in the region to say, maybe you're not as big as we thought, and maybe some of those Hezbollah or Houthi or Hamas fighters might start to think again about, hey, who do we really want to be with on this thing?
Part of what stands out to me in this attack, in comparison to what happened in April, Israel had attacked a compound in Syria, killed 3 senior Iranian commanders. Those were Iranians. Right now, the Israelis are fighting Hezbollah in Lebanon. So for Iran to directly start attacking Israel and connecting itself directly with Hezbollah, even though obviously everyone knows they've been funded, I think it's interesting that this wasn't directly affecting Iran except for their proxy warmongers.
Yeah, and Hezbollah was their premier fighting force. Like, Iran had bet the ranch on Hezbollah being able to really be the force in the region, really inflict a lot of damage on Israel, isolate Israel. And again, all the things they were doing from the northern part of Israel, 60,000 Israelis evacuated as they were continuing to fire rockets into there on a daily basis. So Iran really has bet the ranch on Hezbollah. And so I think the fact that Israel was able to go in and really decapitate their leadership structure, I mean, it is in disarray. Everything we're hearing is disarray, and they've also hit a lot of their armaments as well.
Because I just cannot take my eyes off of these monitors in the studio, just watching. It looks like one missile right after the other being intercepted by the Iron Dome. CNN is reporting dozens have been counted, missiles flying above. But I was, boy, just in the time you were talking to Dave, I was just watching one right after the other. It is, I don't even know how many Iran is going to launch throughout the night there in Tel Aviv, but News Nation is reporting it is over the entirety of Israel.
Yeah, this is not just Tel Aviv. This is not just Jerusalem. This is they're going at all the different places there. And remember, Iran said that they were going to have revenge for the death of Nasrallah. That was a significant blow, clearly a significant blow to them, and so that would not go unavenged. And so that's what this is about tonight, in terms of what's happening in Israel. And again, I think they're going to unleash. I think this is just the beginning of what Iran's going to attempt to do.
There's like 4 or 5 right there. Can we dip back into CNN's coverage there, Gustavo?
That emergency bunker that they have in Jerusalem as they're watching all of this play out not far from where you are in Tel Aviv. But Jim, to hear you say that in your 20 years of reporting, you have never seen an attack like this on Tel Aviv, what is it that makes it different?
It's the volume, right? It's the volume and the munition, because a ballistic missile, it's fast, it's supersonic, takes a number of minutes to get from Iran to Israel, about 12 minutes to cover hundreds of miles of territory. It's very high altitude, and because of all those things, it's threatening. And when you fire ballistic missiles in number, the intent is to attempt to overwhelm the missile defenses. You hope, Iran, that you might be able to get some through because they can only track so many targets at any given time. And Caitlin, that's not dissimilar from what we've seen Russia do in Ukraine, fire several missiles, sometimes of different categories at the same time to attempt to overwhelm those missile defenses.
And CNN is reporting that Iran has vowed crushing retribution if Israel retaliates for this attack.
We've just gotten word that ABC News is now offering us live coverage of what is happening in Israel. We're going to step away for just a moment, and we'll be back with ABC News' live coverage around launching missiles at Israel.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Current events can have a lot of moving parts. Our job is to make it easy to keep up.
You're part of a bigger world, so spend 15 or 20 minutes here and be part of it.
Join us weekday mornings between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only. Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only. Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
This weekend, it's the fall return of General Conference. KSL is pleased to broadcast live the 194th Semi-Annual General Conference of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Coverage starts both Saturday and Sunday at 9:30. We invite you to join us at 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and streaming live on the app for KSL News Radio.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let the tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, they'll fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Someone asked me the other day, you know how many devices the average home has connected to their Wi-Fi network? It's way more than I thought. I actually went home and counted how many connected devices I own. More than a dozen, all to keep me connected to the good stuff. Streaming, my gaming, all my interneting, you name it. Xfinity knows the number of devices we have connected to our internet is growing by the year. That's why they engineered their gateways to handle hundreds of connected devices. Hundreds. For real. Now through October 10th, get Xfinity Gig Internet for $25 a month for 2 years with unlimited data when you add unlimited mobile. Plus, get Peacock Premium, a $7.99 monthly value included at no extra cost, and ask how to get an eligible free 5G phone with Xfinity Mobile. Make sure your home Wi-Fi can handle everything you throw at it and then some. Click, call, or visit a store today. Xfinity. Bring on the good stuff. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account, equipment, taxes, and fees extra. Gig Wi-Fi requires Xfinity Gateway. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet after promo. Regular interest rates apply. Actual speeds vary.
Celebrate Taco Tuesday the tasty way at Cafe Rio. Handmade tortillas bring the vibes. Slow braised meats bring the punch. And 12 tasty toppings bring the party. Starting at just $2.49.
There are many out-of-control factors that can cripple supply chains and break down the ability to get vital supplies for weeks, maybe even longer. Inflation and political instability means the cost of food could skyrocket. Now is the time to do something about it. The first step is to protect your family and stock up on what you need. ReadyWise meals taste incredible, are simple to make, easy to store, and offer up to a 25-year shelf life. ReadyWise is a leader in emergency food supplies. During General Conference Weekend, enjoy savings site-wide on emergency food and supplies. Visit ReadyWise.com/KSL to explore the versatile emergency meal selection and start building your emergency food supply. That's ReadyWise.com/KSL. Use code KSL25 at checkout to take 25% off your purchase. That's ReadyWise.com/KSL and use code KSL25.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, Iran has begun a missile attack against Israel, apparently in retaliation for Israeli strikes that have killed several leaders of Hezbollah. Second, President Biden meeting with his national security team at the White House following the missile attack on Israel. And third, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints sending volunteers and emergency assistance to communities hit by Hurricane Helene. 67 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
We want to continue our breaking news coverage out of Israel right now, where Iran has been launching ballistic missiles at Tel Aviv and Jerusalem and other areas around Israel. ABC News is live.
Guard Command. It says that the operation was conducted based on a decision made in the Supreme National Security Council and with the support of the army. It says that the attacks were partly in retaliation for the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran. You remember that happened earlier this year. He, of course, was the leader of Hamas, as well as Hassan Nasrallah, who, of course, was the leader of Hezbollah. It says that the order was given by the supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei. Also a statement from the Iranian mission. This is at the United Nations, where you are in New York, saying Iran's legal, rational and legitimate response to the terrorist acts of the Zionist regime, this is what the Iranians say, has been duly carried out. They then go on to warn Israel, should Israel carry out any kind of response or commit further acts of malevolence, a subsequent and crushing response will ensue. They're also warning other countries who are allied with Israel to not side with them and to distance themselves. So they're certainly feeling very emboldened by this. We have colleagues in Iraq right now, colleagues in Jordan, and they're all seeing the same thing. They're seeing these missiles flying over. This cuts to a lot of the divisions throughout this region between Shia and Sunni world, and it forces people to pick sides. And that's why it's also, I think, kind of a very dangerous situation.
We have been watching and witnessing from our chairs here in the KSL News Radio studios live coverage on the major networks, one missile right after the other, sometimes multiple at a time, trying to make their way into Tel Aviv. So far, what we've been able to figure out from national news reporting is that Iran has been unsuccessful in terms of infiltrating the Iron Dome that surrounds Israel and having those missiles land in the neighborhoods and on buildings. This is a developing story that we're going to continue to follow right here on the show. In fact, we're reaching out to several people to bring on live experts in the next several minutes to talk to us about the impact that today's missile launch will have not only on the Middle East, not only on Israel, but also on the world, and particularly with eyes on the White House, the vice presidential debate tonight, and also Trump and Harris on the campaign trail. And we have been watching this go down for about an hour now. From where we sit, we will continue with our team of producers and reporters to track the developments in Israel.
Joining us right now is Jay Evenson from the Deseret News. He's the opinion editor there. And Jay, as we shift gears, I saw an article that you had written, an opinion piece, that says legal sports gambling, legal sports betting is a failed experiment. And I thought initially, well, why are you writing this? Gambling's not legal here in Utah on any level. So what inspired you to write this?
Well, it was actually a piece in the Atlantic talking about this that kind of got me going on it. Utah is one of only 12 states that doesn't allow any type of sports, online sports gambling. Those states include some pretty big ones. Texas and California are two of them. But if you even though it's illegal in Utah, if you watch any live sports broadcast on television in Utah, you will be bombarded by ads for FanDuels and
DraftKings and Prize Picks. Yeah.
Yes, and I came across a number of interesting social science studies recently published that link the legalization of online sports gambling to a number of social ills, including one out of the University of Oregon that links it to what they called a 10% increase in domestic violence, directly linked to sports gambling, particularly when the hometown team loses, and it kind of makes sense, you know. People get on edge, and particularly if they've wagered money on an outcome and that fails, then they turn to their intimate partner and take it out on them. But there are two other studies in here, too, that talk about the impact on household finances. One of them said for every $1 spent on online gambling, about $2 less is spent in savings in the household. And then another one out of UCLA in Southern California talked about an increase in bankruptcy rates by as much as 25 to 30% in areas where online sports gambling is legal. So we've had this now in the U.S. since the Supreme Court allowed it in 2018. So it's 6 years. And in that time now, we've seen the effects on our homes, our families. I think it's time to say, look, this experiment has failed, and we need to now outlaw ads for online sports betting.
Just the ads, or also online sports betting overall, Jay?
Well, I would love to see online sports betting outlawed overall. There are some bills in Congress that would outlaw the advertising, so that's kind of what I was focusing in on. But it's difficult because now you have large major leagues that are that have become accustomed to the money they get from these companies. So you're talking about a great deal of revenue, and it's an industry that's grown from virtually zero to over $10 billion and is projected to rise to $45 billion in a few years. So it's not easy to get rid of this, but now's the time to do it, particularly when big states like California and Texas haven't gotten in yet.
To speak to how strange this relationship is, where these professional sports franchises are in bed with the gambling sites, if you are an athlete, you can't gamble. If you work for a team, you cannot gamble on that sport. So if you work for the Jazz, you're not allowed to bet on the NBA. So they have all of these restrictions, but they are still receiving huge amounts of advertising dollars to get all the fans to bet on them. So it's a they're very strange bedfellows.
It's very complicated, and particularly for athletes who've now grown up in this culture, or for the past 6 years have been able to wager on games, and now all of a sudden they're in a league and they can't do it. And we've seen some scandals already having to do with athletes being caught wagering even on their own games. And now it's reaching into the college ranks. And I think I talked about this on your show before, but you have student athletes who sit in class and talk about friends on the team who are maybe not going to play tonight or are not feeling well.
Yep.
And that's insider information that they could get in serious trouble for divulging. And yet, I mean, they're so young, they have no concept of that or understanding of what they're doing.
Jay Evenson, thank you so much for joining us regarding the gambling addiction, quite honestly, that this nation has. We love our gambling. There's very few states that still ban it. We are one of those states that bans gambling, except I think I may have found a loophole I did not believe existed here, but I can tell you my story later on about how I was able to download a gambling app. It was not banned. It did not prevent me from doing it, and I absolutely was able to bet on NFL football. And I want to talk to a Utah legislator of like, how is this happening? I thought it was completely illegal here.
We are going to go back to breaking news right now, where we are expecting a live update from ABC News in a matter of seconds regarding what is happening over Israel as Iran continues to fire missiles on Tel Aviv
This
and
is a special
Jerusalem.
report from ABC News. Iran targets Israel. I'm Michelle Franzen. Israel's Iron Dome lighting up the night sky after Iran launched a wave of missiles and air raid sirens sounding. A U.S. official estimates more than 200 missiles were launched in retaliation for the death of Hezbollah's leader last week in Lebanon. ABC News learning that Iran may be targeting military installations around Tel Aviv. ABC's Ian Pannell is in Beirut.
Israel has been very clear that if Iran attacks Israel, it is going to respond, and the response is going to be very severe. So we just have to wait and see. 99% of the missiles that were fired at Israel back in April were intercepted.
The White House says the president and vice president are receiving briefings on those developments, and the U.S. says it's readied its defenses in the region. In Tel Aviv, Israeli police say a shooting incident earlier left 4 people dead and others wounded. It's being treated as a terror attack. This is ABC News.
We hope you have the right app on your phone for news. You probably have dozens.
But the KSL News Radio app, well, it makes our live stream super easy.
Plus, our talk shows are right there as podcast for your workday.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
When I started working with Salt Lake City Fat Loss to, lose the fat, I was really excited. I was motivated, as many of us have been. When you start a diet, when you start eating healthy, you're very energized early on. But what I noticed in the past when I've tried to do this is after a week or after a couple of weeks, it's just too hard and maybe the results aren't as good as I thought they would be. So I lose motivation, then I eject and I go back to my same bad habits. But with Salt Lake City Fat Loss, the results were so incredible. I lost 57 pounds in 60 days. I stayed motivated. I stayed on the plan. I was excited to get on the scale every single day, and the results were great. So if you're interested, you want to try something new, Salt Lake City Fat Loss was a great resource for me. They sent me daily videos. I could send them a text anytime. There was personal interaction as well. So if you want to schedule a free consultation, go to slcfatloss.com. That's slcfatloss.com.
Beatty, Nevada, your getaway to Death Valley, an entryway to a true desert adventure. Enjoy exciting offerings for all your senses and imagination. In Beatty, visit Eddie World, the largest candy store in Nevada, and visit their historic museum, the ghost town of Rhyolite, and see sculptures in the desert at Goldwell. Hiking, biking, and hundreds of miles of ATV trails await you. For the ultimate adventure, make Beatty, Nevada your next destination and claim a free gift at beattynevada.org. Wrangle up some fun at Beatty Days 2024, Friday, October 25th through Sunday, October 27th. It's old-fashioned family fun with a chili cook-off, live music, bed races, a classic car show, cornhole and horseshoe tournaments, model railroads, a parade, food and craft vendors, contests for everyone, and lots more. The fun is in Beatty, Nevada this October 25th through the 27th. Visit beattynevada.org for the full schedule. That's beattynevada.org.
If you need a new roof, there's a reason IWC Roofing is the #1 residential roofing contractor in Utah. IWC has been replacing roofs for 27 years. They are professionals. You don't get some janky subcontractor fiddling around up there. You get experienced IWC employees on your roof, and they finish most jobs in a single day. They're in, they're out, and they power wash your driveway just to say thank you. Now you're wondering about the price. After all, IWC is one of the few Owens Corning Platinum certified contractors in the entire state, but they offer value pricing, and right now, take advantage of their fall special. $2,000 off your quote. And of course, they'll work with you on financing, so call IWC Roofing, the highest rated roofing contractor in Utah, plus $2,000 off. Right now, call IWC Roofing, 801-232-5690. That's 801-232-5690, or go to IWCRoofingUtah.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Michelle Rowe.
We're looking good on all of our Valley freeways. See a little bit of slowing, though, on Bangerter Highway. This is in West Valley. Advanced Window Products, factory direct, affordable windows. Call today, they're on their way. Financing available. Save now, pay later. AdvancedWindows.com. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Look for warm daytime temperatures for the rest of the week. Lows dropping into the 50s overnight, and right now we're at 68 degrees. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com for Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
From where we're sitting here in studio and watching the live coverage of these missiles from Iran being launched toward Israel, not making it past the Iron Dome, though, being deflected by the Iron Dome. This has been going on for a full hour now. And we're going to dip back into ABC News' live coverage of what is happening in Israel at this moment.
We talked to U.S. officials, and John Kirby in particular, about the United States wanting to de-escalate this situation, but we certainly have not seen that. I did ask John Kirby, who is the White House spokesman for national security, as you know, what he thought about them continuing the fight against Hezbollah and continuing to go after leaders and this ground incursion. And he said, we think they can de-escalate and go after Hezbollah all at the same time, because clearly Israel continuing the fight against Hezbollah felt that Hezbollah, and it certainly is vulnerable, that they should basically get them while they're down and take care of this. And again, this is retaliation for that. It's retaliation against Hamas, but they did get pressure from their proxies to do this kind of strike. And depending on the damage, that's when we will see how Israel will respond to this, but they will 100% respond to this. And not only if the missiles are intercepted, if all the missiles are intercepted, it's also just the shrapnel from interceptions that can cause damage. As I was saying earlier, I was just in Israel last week for about 10 days, and the atmosphere in Tel Aviv, there are thousands of people out on the street. And they haven't seen this intensity for a very long time. In the missile strikes, I was also there right after October 7th, and the air raids were constant. And today, it has to be bringing them back to that moment there in Tel Aviv.
Martha, thank you. Let's get straight back to Tel Aviv. Our Matt Gutman, where the spokesperson for the IDF just put out a statement. Matt, what do we know?
Just a few moments ago, Kira, Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari, who's the chief spokesman for the IDF, as you just mentioned, went on TV, a national broadcast, announcing that for now, there is this all clear, telling people they can sort of begin moving out of those bomb shelters. He told them to stay close. He also said that some of those missiles apparently hit installations. We do not know, and he said they are not aware of any casualties at this point. That does not mean that there aren't casualties at this point. The one thing that he certified, and Martha just said it, is that there will be a response, that Israel has a plan. And typically what has been happening in the previous attacks, like the one against Nasrallah, the head of Hezbollah in Lebanon last week, the IDF presents a series of options to the government. The cabinet sits over it, and then they decide what to do. That's what also happened with last night's incursion into Lebanon. So the plans are on the table. The question is, how far does the Israeli government want to take this? Just yesterday, Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu spoke publicly in English, directing his comments to the Iranian people, saying that the regime could fall soon. And so one of the things that we've begun to hear from Israeli analysts at this point is a call for a strike on the Bandar Abbas oil port and terminal on the Persian Gulf in Iran. It's a huge terminal that controls much of the oil that goes into that country and out of that country. And if that is hit, that would cause catastrophic economic damage to Iran. And analysts are telling me it could possibly topple the regime. That's how significant it could be. That would be a major strike. They're also talking about attacking other possible energy installations as well. Again, this is a cabinet decision, as Steve said, and Martha as well. It does not have to be decided immediately. After the last round of missiles hit, Israel took a number of days, even longer, to retaliate. And then it was a very restrained response, essentially firing a missile from an airplane against an Iranian radar base, sending the message that Israel can hit whatever it wants, whenever it wants, without being detected. We know that it's not going to be that restrained this time, despite U.S. efforts and the Biden administration's incredibly energetic efforts in recent months to try to tamp down the tenor of the violence here. It's not going to be the case this time. A major question, though, is whether the U.S. assists in any attack on Iran at this point, and what kind of assistance that might be if it does happen. But clearly, the reprisals on the table. One more thing that Martha just mentioned. When you have that many missiles coming in, and we just had additional interceptors in Jerusalem a few minutes ago, it's not just the missiles that are being blown out of the sky, it's the interceptors that are exploding to hit them, causing a tremendous amount of shrapnel. And having been just north of Gaza when some of those rockets fired from Hamas were coming down and were intercepted, it's one of the eeriest experiences, because you can hear the tinkle of falling shrapnel and metal on the rooftops as it's coming down. But now we're talking about bus-length missiles, and when they come down, it can create a significant amount of damage, even if high explosives don't detonate anywhere. So everybody here is still assessing. They're bracing for another possible wave, which we're told might happen. But right now, most importantly, we're hearing that the IDF, at least, is not aware of any casualties, Kira.
All right, so put this in perspective, just backing up to what you said at the very beginning about the IDF spokesperson saying that he's giving the all clear. It's okay to move out of shelters. However, a response is coming. Yep. What does that tell you? I even am looking at you. You now have your helmet off, and it seems that it's taken a little bit of a pause, I guess, with regard to immediacy, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have Nikki, our cameraman, turn the camera and show you that traffic, if he can make it past our producer, Hugo, traffic is picking up. We haven't seen that in recent hours. There's a trickle of cars. People are starting to move about. Maybe they were cornered or stuck someplace, and now they're trying to get back home. Obviously, life is not returning to normal. Tel Aviv at this time of night is, as Martha mentioned, incredibly vibrant. Even on a weekday, that is not the case now. And typically on a day like today, Kira, most people would be going to their families for the holiday, for the Jewish New Year. That's not happening right now, but people are starting to move around. You can see that there's a bit more confidence. Regarding the plan for the next attack, We don't know. And it could take days. It could even take longer. It depends how clear of a message and how big of a response there is. And a lot of it does depend on what kind of damage was caused by those missiles and those interceptors. But I can tell you one thing that has not happened, that I have not experienced in 25 years of covering this region. I've never seen a time when the major headquarters of the IDF in central Tel Aviv was evacuated. The major base for all of the intelligence, for Israel's version of the NSA, for the Mossad, for military intelligence north of Tel Aviv, was evacuated. Other bases around the country were. That is incredibly unusual. I think the only time that may have happened in the past was in 1991 when Iraq was firing Scud missiles. So this is a very unusual and uncommon event tonight. And you can tell the enormity of it by the Israeli preparation for this missile salvo. And of course, it's not yet over. So the next few hours are going to be very, very tense here as they wait for a possible second wave. We don't know if there is going to be one, though, Kira.
So bottom line, Matt, the Israel's Iron Dome has done its job thus far.
There's this three-layered system of anti-missile defense. It's the Iron Dome for more closer-range missiles. It's the Arrow and David Sling. It's this trio that works on different levels of the atmosphere, and they seem to have worked very well. But we've seen these videos, and I don't know if you've seen them coming in or if you're broadcasting them over me, but of massive amounts, swarms of missiles coming in, and it looks like some of them are making impact. It's unclear how many have landed, but we do know that those interceptors to try to knock those missiles out of the sky also went up in unprecedented numbers to try to eliminate that missile threat. Again, everybody's still in assessment mode here in Israel, Kira.
Matt, thank you. And Steve, drawing what Matt just said about what could be the next phase here, or what exactly...
You've been listening to live anchored coverage about what is going on in Israel right now as Iran was launching missiles, it looked like for the better part of an hour. It is, of course, nightfall in Tel Aviv and in Jerusalem. We've been trying to reach U of U professor Amos Giora for the last hour or so, and our producer just got in our ear and said he's live right now.
Yes, Professor Giora, thank you so much for joining us. And it appears we've been watching a live feed of the attack on Tel Aviv. We have seen the Iron Dome intercept missile after missile. But it looks like this attack was not just on Tel Aviv, that it was in Haifa, in Jerusalem. Where are you right now?
In Jerusalem.
Was there an attack as well? Can you confirm that?
I don't know. I mean, I spent the last 20 minutes in the safe space, safe room in the apartment building. There were booms throughout those 20 minutes, which I took to be intercepts. But I saw just now that there were a couple of people injured, not in Jerusalem, I think in Tel Aviv, but then the booms were clear and loud here in Jerusalem. Yes.
And from what
you could hear in the safe room is in essence in the basement of an apartment building, and it was clear and loud.
So, Professor, you're in Jerusalem. You were hearing the loud, the booms from the missiles that we are understanding.
The intercepts, right?
Yeah, were intercepted by the Iron Dome. Take us inside one of those shelters. What is that like? How many people were inside there with you?
3 family members, the caretaker of an elderly woman, and the elderly woman couldn't come down to the basement because she can't come downstairs, and then 2 other people who live in the apartment building. And there are chairs there, and the main job as the elder grandfather is to help with the young children. We try to make it as normal as possible. With the older granddaughter, you play games because it's scary, obviously. And you try to, I think the best expression is to normalize the not normal.
How often does something like this happen? Is this something that would happen other than, I'm thinking of maybe the attack back in April, or is this something that is more common to have to go and evacuate to the bunkers?
It depends where you live in Israel. So I just arrived yesterday from Salt Lake City, but there are clearly people in northern Israel and obviously in southern Israel who have been in and out of shelters for the past year. Here in Jerusalem, I think it's rare. But as I say, tonight here in Jerusalem, we were in shelter. But in Tel Aviv, there was attack earlier today from Lebanon, from Hezbollah, and people, I think, were in shelter also. So it's going to depend. Your question, which is an excellent question, the answer will be depending on where you live in Israel. North, Hezbollah; south, Hamas still fires, and then the rest of us countrywide tonight from Iran.
Professor Gior, did you have plenty of warning from the Israeli government that you guys needed to get into shelter?
Sure. The Home Front Command, which is actually years ago I've been the legal advisor to the Israeli Home Front Command, gives ample warning. You have I think a minute and a half. Again, depending where you live, it's all very situational dependent. And in our case, we were able to gather the two grandchildren and walk down the stairs into the basement. Absolutely. I mean, it's a very efficient system, but I want to emphasize it certainly is not foolproof. The Iron Dome, and sometimes there is attacks that escape or evade the intercepts. That happened a while ago with the bombing from Yemen from the Houthis. So it's not 100%. It is very effective, but not 100%. I think we had a minute to a minute and a half to go downstairs, to walk down 3 or 4 flights of stairs. Yeah, that was enough time, but again, because of the efficiency of the system.
We're speaking with University of Utah professor Amos Giora, worked for the Israeli Defense Forces, just left safety and security in Jerusalem after this attack, this most recent attack from Iran. Can you describe to us, when you were talking about these intercepts, and we're watching these intercepts happen, time and time again as they unfold, when they intercept, is there shrapnel that pours down, or is it far enough away from the cities that the shrapnel of the exploded rockets and ballistic missiles fall harmless?
That is an excellent question. There was earlier today on one of our main highways, a gentleman was injured precisely because of the shrapnel. From the intercept and the shrapnel, that shelling came from Lebanon, and there were, I believe, 2 people injured from that. And I think there were the people who were injured tonight, I think in Tel Aviv, I assume that it was also from, when the intercept occurs, you can't always intercept over the sea. And sometimes there's the intercepts over land, and then there is indeed shrapnel. I mean, when you intercept the drone that comes from Iran, I don't know if I would do this inevitably, but it seems to be more likely than not that there will be shrapnel that not to make it trite, it has to land somewhere.
Yes. Well, Professor, thank you so much for joining us. I know this is a terrifying moment for Israel right now. We know that we've been watching the live attacks. The live video feed is from Tel Aviv, Israel, but we also know that those attacks have stretched to other areas of Israel as well, into Jerusalem. And just speaking to Professor Giora, who could hear the booms and hear the explosions from his bunker where he had been hiding. And now Israel has announced that you can start leaving your shelter.
Continuing our live coverage of Iran launching missiles at Israel, former National Security Policy Advisor for United States Senator Mitt Romney, live on the line with us. Megan Rees, also the founder and CEO of Solid Intel, Inc. Good morning, Megan.
Good morning. How are you today? Sorry for the turmoil you're dealing with.
Yeah, so talk to us from a former National Security Policy Advisor's platform. What's your reaction to what you're seeing unfold there over Israel?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me on. Basically, as my old role would mean that I'm trying to look at the broader picture and what it means for the U.S. and for the various actors in the region in the short and the midterm. to understand what it is that the U.S. needs to be doing, will be signaling, and what those signals mean for the broader conflict. So we can walk through maybe a little bit about what I would be looking at in this exact moment that might give us indicators of where this could be going.
Yeah, please, let's do that. That's exactly where I think my mind goes is what's next and what is the United States response? We heard that Secretary Blinken just said the U.S. is committed to Israel's defense, but what are you seeing?
Absolutely. So I think the first thing that we're going to be seeing is DoD has already begun surging resources for the area. So we're going to be basically making sure that all of our military installations, all of our personnel are really as protected as they can be, and we have as many defenses up as possible, because what we want to be hyper focusing on is deterring Iran or any of its proxies in the region for trying to take advantage of the situation and targeting the U.S. because everyone is distracted by these ballistic missile barrages. And so that's the first thing you're going to be seeing. And then you're going to see other efforts to try to tamp down the conflict in the region. But you are getting other indicators, right? So you're seeing that the State Department is not planning on doing massive civilian evacuations from Lebanon of American persons. And so far, I at least haven't read or seen that, for instance, Israeli embassy or folks working at the embassy in Israel, Jerusalem, and Tel Aviv, I haven't seen indications that they're saying your families must leave or we're going to draw down personnel. So those are indicators that it's not as concerning as you'd see in, say, the Afghanistan evacuation scenario or Ukraine. But those are big indicators in the short term of how robust and concerned we should be about an escalation.
Megan Reese is the former National Security Policy Advisor for United States Senator Mitt Romney, also the founder and CEO of Solid Intel, Inc. She's live on the line with us in the wake of what has been going on. Iran launching missiles, many of them. We don't have a firm count, but it just seemed like, Megan, we were watching one right after the other try to penetrate the Iron Dome over Israel. Mm-hmm. And unclear as to whether any of them got through, but by most reporting, it seems like they didn't. In response, we've heard it reported that it's not if, but when Israel responds to Iran's missile launches today. What role does the U.S. military play in your view?
Well, the U.S. is extremely committed to Israel's right to defend itself, and how they choose to support that. We may not know in the short term what that looks like, but know that the U.S. is incredibly committed to what I'd say are very strong law of armed conflict rules. In other words, they would want Israel to respond in a way that is proportional, necessary, is targeted at military installations of the IRGC. So they're not going to be doing what Iran is doing right now. Iran is targeting broad sweeps of civilian locations, while all Israeli civilians have been having to hide out in various bomb shelters. That is not what Israel is going to be doing in response. They will heavily target and focus on IRGC and proxy facilities, as well as personnel that they think could actually lead to cessation of conflict, hostilities, or the ability of these terrorists to continue to target Israel.
I'm seeing reports that say that Iran is calling this attack rational, that they vow more crushing blows if Israel does, in fact, retaliate. But do you anticipate Israel retaliating after this most recent attack now?
So I would say that Israel is at the moment pretty hyper-focused on dealing with the Hezbollah degradation on the Golan Heights border. And so I imagine there's no world in which Israel lets this barrage go, but they have options here. They have, they have a willingness to wait until it is best suited for them on how and when to respond. They have a range of various efforts that they could take. You probably already talked about the April response to Iran launching missiles into Israel. They chose to actually de-escalate the conflict with Iran in that response, so they didn't take a massive response in that case. So they are very willing as a state to vary what their responses are going to look like in their best interest. I see it as, yes, they will respond, but they will choose the time and method of their response. They will be targeted. And I think in the meantime, you're going to see a heavy focus on, as I said before, the degradation of Hezbollah.
Megan Reese, thank you for taking the time and joining us, former National Security Policy Advisor for Senator Mitt Romney.
CNN now reporting that Iran launched hundreds of missiles at Israel. And as we were reporting this in the early part of the 11 o'clock hour this morning, I was watching the monitors while you and Boyd were discussing the attack on Israel. And it was almost, I couldn't keep up with how many missiles I was seeing explode over the Iron Dome. It's just a barrage of one right after the other. And of course, we don't know yet officially what Israel's response will be for this.
And that attack in April that was very similar, it was 300 missiles, drones, 99% were intercepted. It looks like so far a similar percentage may have been intercepted this time around. We don't see any explosions on the ground yet.
Maria Shileos will continue our coverage.